All right. I'd like to call to order the Monday, August 11th Planning Commission meeting. I think we can do it. Is there any agenda modifications, Andrew or Michael? No, we're good on that. I just want to make it clear to those in the peanut gallery that the select board is here tonight to get the presentation about Act 181 spring framework. That's what we're doing. They're not here to talk about the land use revisions that we're going to talk about if we have enough time after from the Vermont Regional Planning Commission. So just to make that clear. In that case, I guess we'll move to the joint session, that presentation, if that works for you.
Hi, my name's Nikki Sabato. I'm a planner with Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. I'm here to just give you an overview of the Act 181 legislation and how it relates to the future land use mapping and why I'm here. So I'll probably talk for like 5 to 7 minutes, and then you're welcome to ask questions while I'm talking, and I can stop or just wait till the end. I'm not sure, are you all familiar with Act 181 or I'll just briefly say, that in 2024, Vermont legislature passed Act 181, which updated Act 250's Vermont legislation, which is Vermont statewide land use permitting. And this was to create a tiered framework for location-based jurisdiction. Act 181 requires the Regional Planning Commission to develop a future land use map as part of the regional planning process. Us, Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, we're currently working on a draft future land use map, which is here. We actually have an updated map coming out in the next couple of weeks. So this one's a little bit old, but I wanted to bring it just so you could see some of the progress on it. In addition to the land use map, we are also updating the regional plan. We anticipate submitting the regional future land use map for state approval in early 2026. So I'll just go over briefly the future land use map process and what these areas are. I brought some handouts, and I'm happy to send anything through email as well. But this can just give you an idea of framework and just a little bit of the area description. So the future land use areas, they can be, I think the best way is to organize them in 3 sections. The first section would be high density growth areas. That would be your village centers, your planned growth areas, your village areas. Second would be low to moderate density growth areas. That would be enterprise areas, transition and infill, resource-based recreation areas, and hamlets. And then the third section would be rural areas, which is agriculture and forestry, conservation in general. So these are the general descriptions. They're not that different from what future land use areas were determined before, but now they're making it a requirement of the Regional Planning Commission to develop this map along with local input from towns who are also developing their future land use maps. Okay, so then the second part of Act 181 is the Act 250 tiered process. So this really shifts Act 250's jurisdiction from being triggered by the size of the development to the location of the development. So then they've divided it into tiers. So you have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So tier 3, starting at the wider scale, that would be your conservation areas. And this is being mapped by ANR. So it's actually in the state's hands. They are developing this as an overlay to the future land use map. It doesn't mean that you still have your conservation areas, but this is what's being mapped at the state level. Tier 3, we have not a lot of, we don't have any control over it. So tier 2 is really status quo. So that's what your current Act 250 permit process would be. Tier 1A, that is where areas planned for growth, that would be, municipalities that really have the capacity to go forth with that growth. And of course, they get Act 250 exemption from permit exemption. Tier 1B is what some towns are going for. This is, let me just try to explain it a little bit. Your downtown villages, again, planned growth areas and village areas. And there is exemption for Act 250 development of 50 units or fewer on 10 acres or less for housing and mixed use development. So I'm not even sure Facein is looking towards the tier 1, but tier 1B, it would be something that the select board would sign off on after, you know, I guess your discussions, and then you would opt in with the regional planning commission, and then we would show it on the future land use map. You do need that signed resolution from your legislative body. So, you know, municipalities can stay, I said that you can stay as a tier 2. If you wanted, tier 1A, that's, you know, Burlington's and maybe possibly Montpelier and parts of Berlin, but that would be not even through us, that would be a direct application to the state, which the land use review board would approve that request. Let's see, so with tier 1, municipalities must demonstrate that administrative capacity to implement local regulations to be eligible for that. So it's probably, I think Facein doesn't actually have a village center, is that correct? Yeah, so I think a lot of your decisions will be made about your rural areas. But again, the local mapping is based on your own local regulations. This is what we're determining based on, you know, regional input, and it's really happening in tandem. So we're identifying, you know, we're recommending sequencing the map development from the inside out, so defining the core areas first. Let's see, statewide RPC mapping methodology. I'll just briefly say why they're doing this. It's to provide consistent statewide, you know, descriptions of the future land use areas. There may be unique local or regional circumstances where it may be different from the methodology. And, you know, the future land use areas are really planned for growth that are mapped at the local scale. And that's why we're going out to towns and, you know, just wanting to hear your questions, and if there's anything we should know for our mapping purposes. You know, other future land use areas where, you know, there's intersections with other towns that might, you know, sometimes regional level determinations will have to be made, but it's really in communication with all the towns involved. So that is really all that I want to bring up now, but I really want to hear questions if you have any. And then also if there's, I know you have a town plan update in a couple of years. And I tell towns, because I work on municipal town plan updates with them and assistant, and whether you should just revisit that land use chapter and see if some of your goals have changed, and if you want that to be reflected in the future land use moving forward.
Yeah, I have a question about the tier 3.
Yes.
So you said we have no control over tier 3, but that's basically the state is going to decide which areas of the state need to be conserved.
Yeah, it's based on you know, wildlife corridors and habitat protection and that kind of thing. I think when I say we don't have control, we're not developing that map. We have our rural area designations, which primarily, let's see, Facein here. So I think a lot of that would be rural ag and forest and rural general.
We have a forest, we'll also term the forest reserve, forest district, which basically we limit development pretty, you know, very aggressively. And that's what we have. So is it possible that the state would push tier 3 past where the areas where we say you can't, like into other areas, which make other areas of Facein non-developable? Is that how I'm to understand it?
Wait, so you're saying that there's parts that are.
We have a forest reserve district where you can't pull a permit to build a single family home or anything. And all you can do is forestry and ski area operations. And I'm just curious, that's sort of our tier 3 in Facein. So is it possible that the state through this 181 changing the tiers, is it possible that they could restrict development further than we already have?
Not that I'm aware of. I've
Okay.
heard Brian Voigt is our program manager, so he is really, in control of this map. I
Okay.
mean, from, actually mapping it. But, local regulations are what determine
Okay.
that. So, and you have zoning and
Yeah,
regulations on that, so.
okay,
So yeah, I think they're still developing tier 3 mapping process.
Yeah.
As we speak, as well as tier 1B. But a lot of towns have these questions, like, are they gonna take away our rights?
Yeah.
And that, but from what Brian is, passing on to me and to other towns, it's still in your local regulations and
Okay.
you control your map. In what happens in that area.
Okay.
So it's yet to be determined too, of how it's going to interact with the local markets.
Question for you, Nikki. So we don't have a town center, as we mentioned, but we do have 2 ski areas in our town. Will that be looked at differently in this tiering?
So that would be resource-based recreation areas. So tier designations can be like one section. Say you wanted to have growth or a planned growth area around your resource-based recreation, then potentially you could apply for a tier 1B down the line if you wanted to. That, you have to show that you have, wastewater and water capacity, adequate soils, there's a list that has to be, that would be a requirement to go for that tier.
Municipal water and wastewater would be a requirement.
Yeah, there's also, they'll say it or adequate soils. And with planning towards that, capacity.
I have questions. What's the purpose?
What's the purpose of that?
Well, the purpose of the whole Act 181.
Oh, so, well, Act 181, was a big major land use reform, law that came, that, was passed last year. So it was, a way to, I think, accelerate growth, but also protect, the areas that should be conserved. I don't know if that's explaining, but Act 181 is a very large bill. But for what I'm talking about today, it is about the mapping methodology that was part of Act 181. And the tiers are a second part of it. They are definitely about the future land use, but it's a little bit, it's a different treatment. So I don't, did that answer your question? Act 181 is.
I'm not sure. Well, I'll keep looking.
Yeah, well, it's, what's the best way to, I mean, it really did update. Are you familiar with Act 250?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's a reform of that. So they were looking at ways to make it easier to build sustainably. I think a lot of folks are finding holes in it but it's still being determined on how the tier structure is gonna work.
Who approves the final map, Nikki? So are you gonna be doing more visits with the town to get more input into the specific areas on the map?
This is our visit, we only come out once to inform about, what we're doing with the
Right.
map. We would hope that we would get input, and if you were to opt into tier 1B by early December. I don't even know if Facein's looking to opt into a tier 1B, so really you don't have to do for opting in. But we are, and if you want to review, your current land use plan and your chapter and your map, and maybe if you see changes that you think that we should be mapping on our map, then ideally, we would like that information by November. Early November. We're trying to have a draft ready by the end of the year. For the land use review board then has to review it and approve it alongside with our updated regional plan.
So how will the planning commissions be kept updated as to how this is moving along and where it's going and that kind of
Yes.
thing?
That's a good question, and that is, we are actually, building the site on our website so that there is a place for comment and updates and for towns to actually see the map, you know, as it progresses.
Mhm.
So that's, and we can share that with all the municipalities once it's ready.
Can it be changed in the future?
Change your use.
The designated areas or whatever that,
Yeah, so there, so minor amendments, we wouldn't have to update the map, but if it is a big amendment to the land use, then we would have to apply to the, and show it to the land use review board with that change.
Are we currently gonna be mostly tier two, and the idea is we opt into tier one B? Is that the,
That's, yes, I
So,
think, yes.
I mean, I have this other thing I just pulled up because I wanted to ask you more intelligent questions, and so it says in tier two residential projects with 10+ units require review. But if we go to one B, it exempts residential and mixed use projects with up to 50 units, so
Correct.
basically we don't have to. So if the town opts into one B, it makes it easier to develop and less restrictive, is that my
If,
understanding?
in tier one B,
Yeah,
yes.
but we have to apply to have tier one B areas.
Tier one B is an opt-in with the regional future land use.
Okay, so that's something we should really talk about and consider,
Yes,
and that has to be done by December.
if, for this round.
Okay,
Yes. There, I mean, there's some towns that might not know, and then they'll, when they're ready to opt in, then they could down the road.
but the select board would have to vote to adopt 181.
No, select board would have to approve opting in to tier one B.
Oh, but so 180, we're no choice if we have to step in line with this regardless, but the select board can try to get us into one B to help us be able to have less restrictive developing if that's what we want to do.
Yeah, say if you wanted to develop around, your resource-based recreation area, because I think Irisville would be your main growth area.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we sort of have ours. I don't really understand Irisville, if I'm being honest.
Does that tier one B, Nikki, need town wastewater? Or,
Yes,
okay.
Does it have to be, I'm sorry, does it have to be town or just a wastewater system, like
Yeah.
Sugar Bush as an example, or
right.
like,
Mad River?
like a community system.
Yeah,
community.
community systems are also being considered. What they say is, hold on, let me see. It's water supply, wastewater infrastructure, or appropriate soils.
Mhm.
So it's pretty open.
Change much.
Mm.
Get the area around Waitsville or, you know, around Walsonville and post office. Cause you were just mentioning how could be where it goes over the town boundary. Like Waitsville, for example, has some growth centers down there, that Irisville area, that's Waitsfield, but we have some areas on the backside of it that is Feasting.
Right.
So they, if Waitsfield were to opt in for tier one B for those areas, how would that work? We wanted to just maybe opt in for that area for,
You mean joining with?
Yes.
Another town.
Expanding their
Yeah.
area.
or
Yeah,
just,
I'm not,
making that-
yeah, I think that's a consideration, absolutely. If you do opt into tier one B, though, your town is responsible for administrating the, you know, the regulations and permitting, so that is one, part that I think I think you have capacity here, so.
But if we don't, I mean, we still do the same permitting process, but the state would have more, like. I don't understand.
You.
If we don't go into one
Yeah, I
B,
see
it
what
makes
you're
it less
saying.
restricted, so but if we do into one B, then we have to have. Land use regulations and zoning restrictions to promote, you know. Right size development, stuff like that, but if we stay in tier two. The state has more over, I don't know,
Well, tier two is the same Act 250 permitting.
Status
That
quo.
you've been going through, yeah.
okay, alright,
That you're currently.
The exemptions are all around Act 250.
yeah,
And the tiers are based by not the town as a whole, but in general areas, as in like zoning
Yeah,
districts.
and that's that area, location-based jurisdiction.
Do Paul or Freddie have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I don't understand it enough yet to have concerns.
Paul?
I'm up on it. We had a nice presentation and talk about it at the MRV PD meeting a few months ago.
Okay.
Have you talked to the ski areas at all about this, or will you be talking to them, or is that up to us? I'd like to get their input as to, you know, they're under Act 250 review for almost everything they do. And I don't know if there's anything that they see as an advantage out of this that would make life easier for them. It'd be nice to know that anyway, you know?
I mean, we work with municipalities.
Yeah.
So I see your point. I think that would be a municipality, responsibility. But I think it's certainly, part of this whole process. It should be looked at. Yeah, especially in your town.
So what I'm hearing is municipal water, wastewater, or adequate soils. And possible considerations for community systems.
Mhm.
Is there anywhere where I, like, cause that's a lot of nothing. That, you know, it's maybe and maybe.
You
Is
mean-
there something is if I've gotta go approach Sugar Bush and Mad River Glen and talk about this and what do I tell them?
Well, I can send you our, like, the list of what the actual methodology is for each area and what the requirements would be. I think what will be important to know is if they have capacity for that and if they want to build, if,
Okay.
you know, so it's really up to them.
That'd be great if you could send that. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
I will certainly send that. Should I send it straight to you?
You can send it to me. I'll forward it out to everybody.
It's, I think, we're trying to develop the map. And the state is still developing the criteria for tier one. So it's kind of a waiting game, and we're also just trying to at least have the areas defined. And then they will probably have more framework, this is the land use review board, for municipalities if they want to opt into these tiers. That, they just went through tier 1A, which is the bigger growth area, but next is tier 1B. So the next land use review boards should be talking about that and taking questions from municipalities.
You said for this round, when would the next round be?
The round for the map.
Well, you were like, well, if you wanna get into it, we gotta decide by early November to get involved on this round.
Well,
When-
so the map is due, by the end of this year for us to be able to have the land use review board review it and approve it. So that we can also, this is Central Vermont Regional Planning, has to update the regional plan as well. So it's happening together, the regional map and the plan.
Will this be something that's done yearly or towns could opt in, opt out? Is it something like that? Or, I mean, that's what I'm trying to.
Well, you mean the tiers?
Yeah, if you wanna,
Yes. Well, I would assume you could opt in at any
Yeah.
time, but it would have to go through that whole approval process.
Nikki, who's on the land use review board?
So Janet Hurley is the chair, Alex Weinigan, who's planner.
Who do they
expert.
represent or work for,
Who do they represent?
or work for? Are they-
Well, Janet Hurley is a planner from Bennington.
Okay.
Alex Weinigan is from Chittenden County, and they have a lawyer from forget her name, she's in Barry, and who's the other woman? They have an Act 250 specialist, Sarah had, sorry, I can't recall the name of the other woman, but there is a list I can share.
Okay.
They're hired or paid for by Central Vermont Planning,
Are they what, sorry?
hired or paid for by Central Vermont Planning,
No, they are state.
they're state,
correct,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
This is a state,
Appointees, are they,
appointees, yes.
okay, okay. So your deadline is to get all of that to them by sometime in 2026, the map, updated plan for the region. Okay,
Yeah, and it's, I get it, it's important, but I don't, unless you have areas that you really want shown as growth, you know, based on what, you know, we look at wastewater and public water access is like, and then you determine, oh, well, there potentially could be a village area here, there's some capacity. This also is helping us define the regional housing targets, which have been set by the state. And I'll be clear, because a lot of towns have asked this, but the housing targets are not a requirement for the towns to meet. It's really a aspiration and something we have to determine as a regional planning commission to show where it potentially could happen in the region. That's how we do it. So
So,
there's,
so as
yeah.
I understand this.
Mhm.
Facein
Mhm.
is essentially tier 2 with some tier 3 right now. Correct?
That's how I
I would
understand
say
it.
so, yes.
Okay. And if there's an area that has a common water supply system or municipal water supply system or sewage system, then this will simplify people to develop it much denser and remove some of the Act 250 requirements.
Yes, if you're.
It simplifies things.
Yes,
So it seems to me, I think your idea is spot on. Need to talk to Sugar Bush and see if they want to do this for Glen Ellen.
Hmm.
Because to my knowledge, I mean, you guys have been here, do we have any other area in the town of Facein that has any municipal or semi-municipal water or sewage?
Well, only that one section that's close to Waitsfield there. They don't have it now, but they could tie into it.
Yeah.
I own land in Face
Or-
that would be on the municipal water system and the septic if they put it in.
I didn't.
I said I own land in Facein
You do?
that would
In Facein.
tie into the Waitsfield municipal water and septic.
Oh, down by Irisville.
Yeah.
So maybe there's two possible areas.
Yeah, well, Mad River
Yeah.
Glen, Sugar Bush,
Yeah.
and that, and then that
Yeah,
area.
yeah,
yes.
those three areas.
Yeah,
Are probably the ones that we should consider, whether that's what we want to do.
yeah,
And I like your idea of saying to Sugar Bush, I mean, every time they put in the magic carpet as an Act 250 deal and, you know. This may simplify things for them.
yeah.
And it may help them with their housing crunch, because they're always looking for housing for their workers. So, yes, the three areas then,
Mhm.
those are the three
I think
things.
so, yeah.
what was the third area besides the two resorts?
Runs,
It's actually the area, it's Irisville area, it's behind the post office, call
Okay.
it, that area, there's not much land there.
Yeah, so like behind Lawson's up there and then behind Shaw's, that's the area you're
Yes.
talking about, it's behind the post office, behind
It's not,
Shaw's.
yeah,
That whole road up there, that's all faced in. You have you have to drive through Waitsfield to get to Faced.
That's right.
Because we get so close.
you can't access it from 17.
The same
Pratt
way-
Hill, no, you
It's the same
gotta,
way
Oh.
like you live in Facein, but have to go through Waitsfield to get to your house.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I could walk.
Well, but who walks?
Through the woods.
Ride my bike.
You
A lot
could-
of my fans with the ski resorts, whether or not they have capacity based off their community systems. But as the municipality itself, we would. Be in cahoots with Waitsfield on that and water wastewater system, right?
Mm, mhm.
So if we went into tier 1B, I'm just looking at all of these PowerPoints and like it talks about how like. If you're in is tier 1B, now is something you can build a duplex wherever single family is allowed, like it allows for more. It allows for more dense development, right? That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can put in, according to what I just read, you can put in
That's ProMax.
3 and 4 unit buildings where single family homes are allowed.
4+1, right?
You can put 5 or more homes per acre. and not require standards for multi-unit homes that are more restrictive than those required for single-family homes. And allow affordable housing development, including mixed use.
Sounds
So-
like we need to keep our eye on this.
Yeah, for those three areas,
Yeah,
and like the two ski resort areas may see value in.
yeah, I mean, Sugar Bush North or Glen Ellen or Mount Ellen, whatever you talk, I mean, there's a huge area there that's ripe for development, that's owned by Sugar Bush. And there's rumors about what they wanna do. I have no idea, but there's a lot of, Mad River's been mostly developed, shoots past that whole area.
Yeah, although, that's why I'd like to talk to them because I don't know, like we talked earlier about the lifts requiring Act 250.
Yeah.
Will this impact that at all, or is it just housing?
Well, and also if they want to become a growth area, I think you would probably have to define some kind of center
Yeah,
there. So it could be at the base of the mountain, or if they're planning more housing. Same on the other side of Lincoln.
Yeah, well, Lincoln belongs to Warren.
Yeah.
And they're, what they do over there is their business, but, I mean, they do a lot more development over there than they do at North.
yeah.
And who knows what they're gonna do in the future or what their plans are.
So if we decided to opt in, would that require any additional changes to our land use regulations? Or just impact the Act 250 aspect of it?
Well, I think you would, your regulations are current, right? You've done updates as.
We're working on updates right
Yes.
now.
Hmm,
So I want to say that, yes, you would be able to do it, but you have to fulfill all the criteria that Tier 1B puts forth.
These would be different zoning districts.
We'd have to create a
Yes.
new zoning district, and then we'd have to derive land use regulations for that zoning district to align with the 1A or 1B criteria.
okay, so that answers my question then, so we would need to do some work locally to match. the
Yeah.
State Act 181.
Yeah, we might not be able to go right into town plan after this revision, so we might have to go into 181 revision
Yeah,
if we wanna
yeah.
do 1B and
But
that,
law of the land's law of the land,
well,
so
yeah,
Act 250 and this Act 181 would trump our land use regulations based off these districts regardless. We
And we'd
just
have
have to draw those boundaries.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to align.
We agree with all that.
Yeah.
Land people.
Just more work.
But only if people see value in it and want to drive it. I mean, if Mad River Glen or Sugar Bush North says, we're not interested,
Yeah.
but why do you waste our
Or it
time?
has no impact
And
on us.
if Ron, you want to work it, for other people around that area, fine, but if nobody else wants to work it, we got other things to do.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's really up to Waitsfield because they allow it. They allow us to tap into their water.
yeah,
So-
They want users,
Yeah,
so.
So if they want it, and how much land is there?
Not a lot.
Like an acre?
Oh, you mean of developable?
Yeah.
Oh, more than that.
Okay.
There's a number of lots there, but I don't know how much is real. There's a parcel there for sure.
Cause I'm
Maybe
saying,
4
saying
acres.
here, you could put like you could put 5 on on an acre, I think
There's
it's.
4 acres there that's very developable.
Allow 5 or more homes per acre, so that could be 20 houses.
20 unit, 20
Yeah,
units, yeah.
20 units.
mhm.
So,
And that's right adjacent to a Waitsfield growth area,
yeah,
right? So, yeah, I mean, that could.
that could be very helpful.
Mhm.
May even be able to
You know,
find people to,
yeah, wait till
Work.
they actually opt in, and I would believe, because
There's
that's the actual town. Center, that'd be the village, that'd be the center of that village growth area, Hamlin, Enterprise, whatever, would be them opting in, and then we'd just be adjacent. Sprawl.
Or it could be an extension of the village area, which is another part of Act 181 is defining centers and neighborhoods, so the neighborhoods are adjacent to that center, and that's what this area would likely be defined as.
Is these. That's a matter of being shopping center. Stadiums here, so Bisbee's is, you know, yeah, so. That's Shaw's.
Yeah,
That's
just send that
Bisbee.
up, and be glad to send it off to everybody.
That's all,
Everyone
so you've
get
got
everything.
here.
Questions, and especially for Brian, because he's
Okay.
actually doing the mapping, he might be able to.
And the,
Okay.
yeah, I'll have to take a look at the mapping, kind of look at that. And conserved is, could be deeded
13
conserved
acres.
areas with DLC, front land trust.
Based on homes 13.
Yeah.
Your land trust, it's just deed, deed restriction, deed covenants,
Yeah.
that made it conserved.
Walk through that.
That, cause I think that's, I've seen the map and I think I've seen like land that's just basically conserved through Vermont Land Trust, which is just like a deed restriction.
Right, okay.
Mm.
What is that defined on the future land use? Would that
Yeah, I
be-
thought I saw it when I looked at it at one point in the map.
Yeah, it's,
But there were lots that were conserved through third party, be it, you know, Vermont Land Trust or still Land Trust. Or
right, but
whatever.
that's still conservation.
But it's still conserved. Not something the town decided to do.
Well,
Okay,
okay, I can let you get on.
all right. Why don't we take a 4-minute adjournment? We'll pause the meeting here since we're sort of moving in directions, if people wanna come or go.
Recess, not a.
Recess, sorry, recess, wrong word. And we'll continue.
Oh, we may reset.
You should probably move.
So I motion to have a 4-minute recess.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, thanks for having us.
And
Sure, do you, I can leave it here if you want, and there will be updates on our website. And actually.
Thank you for your work.
You're very welcome. Well, if you want, you can have this, if you haven't seen it, then this is your future land use map.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
There's nothing like color.
They're using their skills. But that's why there's still a lot of gray in this map.
No, it's got the grades.
It's from June, and Brian has an update coming out soon. So what I'll do is I'll send a last email. And let everyone know it's
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I know it's hard to investigate all this, but
No, it's,
we're just getting out in this big town
Yeah.
to write, to say this is what's coming and what we
Yeah.
have to do.
so as far as having you help us with our town plan, like how far down the road should we be before we ask you guys to come help us?
Help forward the town plans.
Yeah, like we need to sit down and do a lot of work before we're ready to get outside help, but like. Should we be close and just sort of need some help, like fine tuning things, or should we be more? Because we're not gonna change the company.
Right, yes, well, if that's the case, I, at least like certain months, that long term, you would kind of heard stuff. But if you are then for additional resources, is municipal planning. That is for a whole segment.
Yeah.
But it's up to.
Yeah, cause I remember last time we were out of sync with being able to put a grant application in, so I know Paul and Andrew are gonna be working on trying to figure out where we want to.
Yeah.
And if you do a survey, or stuff like that, and I know you said you put it on like, you can get the resources and how to help.
And I'm, right now, we have another, 200 towns, maybe a third. that has raised a lot. But please reach out.
We will, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah.
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 I'm not gonna have Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know when to do public comments.
Did they follow up?
Before we talk about it.
Remember, public comments could be about anything,
I know,
not just subject.
no, I know, I'm just wondering, when do we do those public comments?
Do it when it's.
Cause we're gonna approve the minutes. And do public comments.
And you're gonna allow people to comment while you talk about other things, so you just cover it. Just do public comments on anything other than that.
And then what, do another,
Well, you're gonna let people talk about it during that
how,
item.
how,
Say,
last time it was.
so, public comment. How do you want it?
How do I want it? Well, I mean, do we have to either give them a conch shell where only one person can talk at the time? I'm not kidding. Like something, like they need to.
Make sure that all questions are connected to the information. Management job.
But wait a second, do that, do a lot of work. There's a lot of work.
Hey, Jason, can you turn up the volume? I'm struggling to hear what's being said at the table. I don't know if that's a thing. Thank you.
Read this out loud to the room.
Okay, and then.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this to the room. And then I'm gonna,
I will read this. If there's another.
I think it's more to deal with so much.
and then, I mean, Andrew, what, I mean, what do you, how do you?
This is a letter to us.
Yeah, it's Freddie's thoughts. Once we print that out and give it to you guys.
You can make public comment. We don't need to read this.
I told her,
Okay.
So what about this one right here? This was sent to us too, it was public. We didn't get a chance to read it out.
You guys get the updated one from SEC?
Yeah, I have the updated one right here.
Dealing Institute.
and Andrew, how do you? There's like 15 people in line. We're supposed to be talking amongst ourselves with them watching to talk about the revisions list. But we don't want to repeat it what happened last week, because we weren't allowed to talk about anything last week, because it's just public comments. So how do we control it? Like, what you suggest?
Well, let's have a conversation and say, we'll take public comment at the end.
Yeah, because we worked on draft trail
Yeah.
definitions.
Yeah,
Okay, I worked
Do
on.
public comments before. This way you're getting their input prior to you guys working. Their input after you guys make a decision. That's us. What's the point of that?
Jason, last time we got the FDOT, we worked on the issues.
Last time was public comment. Period.
We worked on public comments. We have,
They're here again today. They're allowed to speak and they can speak on whatever they want. It doesn't even have to be afraid. They can discuss, they could have a public comment about the free striped toad if they need.
but my point is,
But if you
when you have to give a chance.
discuss everything then, and then get their public input on, it, what's the point of even letting them have their input?
Because they already gave us the input, we'll respond.
Not everyone here was for that.
Do you have any questions related to the communication from the conservation
I'd
committee?
like to read this.
Okay. I'll stick around if you can.
I'd like to read it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, or you could read it. You're on the commission, right?
I read it.
all right. So help me out here.
Well, public comment for everything other than trails.
I'm about to get in speed.
One by one.
This way, it prevents cross and all questions or comments to be directed to you guys.
Then I think these need to be read out.
Do you want to approve the minutes and then do public comments, or do?
Whatever's on the agenda is.
Yeah, okay. Shall we resume the meeting? I move to resume the meeting.
Okay.
Do I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. As far as the approval of the July 14th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do I have any, I'd like to open those for discussion.
I am satisfied with the minutes as drafted and sent to us by Jason.
Freddie? Paul, minutes, you good?
Yep.
I have no issue with the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, this brings us to public comments. We have some public here. If you have some comments, we'd like you to step forward, sit down at the chair and give us your comments. And And then after that, we are going to put ourselves into a discussion. As many of, I see a lot of familiar faces here today, that were here last time. Unfortunately, we weren't able to discuss the input we got from y'all last time, so this is our first work meeting to be able to talk about that, to try to make some changes to better align the information that you gave us. If you have more information to share with us, we'd love to have that before we go into those deliberations, but then, you're more than welcome to stay, but we do need to work through the stuff that you told us. We've received a number of letters, which we're gonna review as well, so if anyone wants to make a comment, please feel free.
Is this comments for things that aren't on the agenda or things that are on? the agenda?
Anything. It's a public meeting.
Okay, because usually there's a section for public comments for things that aren't on the agenda. And then you discuss things that are on the agenda and then open it up for public comments.
So we had a
Those
public meeting
topics.
last
Yeah.
time, for people to make comments about the land use regulations amendments.
I'm
That,
just asking what this public comment period is.
at this point, it's on the agenda or off the agenda, any public comments that anyone wants to make.
Having heard, Woody Dugan, based in Conservation Commission, a member also. If you have not read the letter, I came in order to be able to address any questions you had about it. But if you still want to read it and deliberate it, I think I'll come at a later date. Or take any questions you have by online.
I'd like to read the letter if you want to read it.
No, I read it.
Yeah, for everybody to hear.
That would be great.
Shall I stay then?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, I don't really.
Stay.
want
Okay, so there's a letter from the Facein Conservation Commission. Woody's on it, as well as many others. It says, "Dear members of the Planning Commission. The Facein Conservation Commission is submitting the following comments to provide further clarification of its general support for the proposed revision to the town of Facein's land use regulations pertaining to trails. Following the Planning Commission's July 14th, 2025 meeting and questions and concerns raised by the public and Planning Commission members, we wanted to provide additional comments on the Planning Commission's efforts to address trail building in our LUR. The Facein Conservation Commission supports the goals articulated by the Conservation Recreation Visioning Project. Among other things, the CRV project shared vision, values, and guiding principles for ongoing collaboration sets out that, and there's a quote, "Our well-being, quality of life, and economy in the Mad River Valley are inextricably connected to a healthy environment and functioning ecosystems. Outdoor recreation provides important benefits for people, including fitness and well-being, fun and connection to nature, while adding value to MRV life and vitality to our economy and community. Trail groups, conservation groups, and community members are committed to working toward a future for the valley where the watershed ecosystem thrives, sensitive ecological areas are sustained and enhanced, wildlife have access to high-quality habitat and intact travel corridors, and waters are clean. Residents and visitors benefit from diverse and high-quality outdoor recreational opportunities, both trail-based and off-trail, and individual trails and a trail network across the valley as a whole are thoughtfully sited, managed, maintained, and supported by the community." So that's an extract from the CRV purpose, vision, values, and there's a hyperlink in here if anyone wants to read more details. The CRV project is focused on encouraging anyone interested in trail building to consider ecological integrity to ensure that the valley continues to be the special place it is. Trails have the potential to impact the environment in a number of ways. Regarding erosion, it is important to note that trail impacts are not limited to mountain bike trails. Any poorly built trail, regardless of what type of recreationalist is using the trail, e.g. hiker or mountain biker, can lead to significant erosion impacts affecting water quality and potentially impacting downstream landowners. Following best practices and trail design standards can avoid many of these environmental impacts. Trail impacts are not limited to issues like erosion and degradation of water quality. They also can have unanticipated impacts on wildlife. CRV's work to encourage people to be mindful when they look to build trails is also rooted in science pertaining to recreational impacts on wildlife. Specifically, the CRV effort is supported by science conducted by Meredith Naughton, a Vermonter and wildlife biologist with the U.S. Forest Service. Her work revealing studies on the impact of outdoor recreation on wildlife found that trail use can have a variety of wildlife impacts. For example, trail use can startle wildlife, leading wildlife to avoid important areas for breeding and foraging, among other things. Naughton noted that a variety of trail siting, construction, and use decisions can help avoid impacts. Such measures may include ensuring the trail is not placed near sensitive ecological resources, using buffers around wetlands and vernal pools, and adopting seasonal restrictions during breeding or other important times of the year. Ultimately, the CRV process encourages people to consider ecological impacts and be mindful when building, maintaining, and using trails. We support this approach of being thoughtful about trail building, whether on private or public land. In the July meeting, the Planning Commission noted that it would continue to work on the proposed LUR. The Faison Conservation Commission believes that a collaborative approach with recreation and conservation organizations and private landowners leads to positive community-supported outcomes that benefit the valley. There is important work to be done to ensure that recreation does not come at the loss of the ecological integrity of the valley, and the Faison Conservation Commission seeks to be a helpful partner in this collective effort. We believe that the LUR can offer a path forward that encourages private landowners to take proactive efforts to build and maintain trails in a sustainable manner without being burdensome or creating further confusion. While LURs typically include clearly enforceable standards, such standards may be difficult to identify for trail construction. Currently, the state of Vermont's recommended links provide guides for trail builders. It is critical to note that these documents, whether from the U.S. Forest Service or others, focus on guidelines and standards for how to build trails. The guidelines do not provide clear, absolute quantitative or qualitative requirements. Instead, they provide standards that, as an example, can help ensure that a newly built trail will withstand use and runoff by not constructing a trail that is too steep. E.g., the 1/2 grade standard, where a trail attempts to maintain an average grade that is no more than half the grade of the fall line on the hill. The guidelines are incredibly helpful to anyone who is interested in building sustainable trails. Because the guidelines are focused on best management practices and recommendations, it is not apparent why the LUR needs to contain shall language. Encouraging landowners through the use of the word should rather than shall would be a valuable and important educational effort to protect ecological integrity from trail impacts. While there was substantial discussion about path versus trail in the July meeting, we believe that simply encouraging landowners to follow appropriate standards for the proposed trail is sufficient. For example, if one were building what they would refer to as a walking path, they could follow the recommendations pertaining to primitive trails in the U.S. Forest Service's guidelines. The LUR would serve as a guide for the landowner, and they could consider any relevant aspects of the guidelines for the trail they intend to build, but not be required to do any one thing in particular. This is appropriate as trail needs are often presented on a case-by-case basis. Whether the trail is on a steep slope, near a water body, used for snowmobiles, horses, hikers, etc. All will lead to following different guidelines and standards that ultimately help ensure trails are sustainable, long-lasting, and minimize ecological impacts. If the Planning Commission elects to move forward with trail definitions, it may be helpful to refer to or consider a system similar to that used by the U.S. Forest Service or the Vermont Town Forest Trail Design Guide. Also, a link guideline on the state's Trail Guidelines webpage when defining the trail types of trails subject to the LUR. In both guidelines, they use a trail classification system. The Forest Service's 5 classes range from a primitive, minimally developed trail all the way to a fully developed paved multi-use path. The Vermont Town Forest Trail Design Guide includes 4 classes, distinguishing them based on use: general hiking trail, nature interpretive trail, walker hunter trail, and forest access routes. We recognize these comments may raise additional questions and would be happy to attempt to answer any questions the Planning Commission may have. Respectfully submitted on behalf of the Facein Conservation Commission and is signed by Brian Littman's co-chair of the Facein Conservation Commission.
Does anyone else have any more public comments? Freddie, do you want me to read this letter out loud now?
Can we just add, Woody, you came here, you're on the Facein Planning for the Conservation
Sure.
Commission.
Or-
Yeah,
No, that's what I was.
Woody, you were on this commission, correct?
I was, yeah.
And you are too? Okay, great. All right, so you have some comments.
I had a bunch of comments that I could bring up at other times. Carol Chamberlain. Okay. But I have a couple of pretty basic questions about the whole trail stuff that you're all working. And the first one is, have you had the RPC or VLCT or the town attorney review any of this new language to see if they find it copacetic? Or has nobody looked at it yet except for the planning commission?
We're working through the process. We have VLCT access. Do you have a specific concern?
No, I just know that that's something good to do, and some of the definitions and stuff definitely need some refinement, and they could probably give you some insight into that.
I think we would look to do that when we have it more solidified.
We have
Okay.
one definition on our review, on our revisions list, and it's a definition that we're not really happy with, and I'm changing pretty dramatically at this meeting tonight. We could enlist a lawyer to help us with the definition of trail.
Now, the one thing I'll point out right now about the definition of trail is it includes ATVs, which I know there's really specific where ATVs can and cannot be ridden, like they're not supposed to be on our town roads at all, and there are other trails they're not supposed to be on. Including that in the definition would give people an opening to say, oh, we're having an ATV trail. I would not put ATVs in the definition, but that's just me. They're trying to stick with where they're allowed and where they're not allowed. And then there's just some grammatical stuff. My other big question I have is, your land use regulations need to have some basis in your town plan. And I have found plenty of places in the town plan that kind of point to don't regulate trails real strictly. And I would like to know if you've found something in the town plan that gives you a foundation on which to regulate trails.
Our goal is to create an exemption, so you don't have to pull a permit to build trails in the town of Facein. So we would sort of,
But you're not answering my question.
the question is, what part of the town plan leads us to believe that we need to regulate the way people build trails in the town?
We found in the existing land use regulations that our predecessors gave us.
Town plan.
Town plan,
No, the land use regulations.
town plan, she asked about the town plan.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
She wrote the town plan.
Okay, but the land use regulations had the clause in it that we tried to fix. That's where we got, that's how we started.
That's how we
that.
started it, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go in the town plan. There was something existing that needed clarification.
Right.
That's how we went down this road.
So the link was broken. Fair?
The link was broken only because somebody who works here broke it. I mean, it was.
I mean, we don't need to
Right.
point fingers. Let's just focus on the things that happened. The link was broken. Michael brought it up. We spent 5 months talking about trails. It was established that, hey,
I know all this.
we
I
should
know all
probably
this.
have a definition of trail in our LURs. It would just make sense. We have defined path, we should probably define trail. And then I was sort of confused of whether or not you need to pull a permit to build a trail. And that led us down the fact of creating an exemption to make it clear, just like with forest and silviculture, you don't need to pull a permit, you don't need to pull a permit to build or rebuild trails.
I. Like,
So,
Freddie, Freddie, what was that?
I think that that's disingenuous. That we're saying, yes, you don't need a permit, but what we have said is you must build to this standard. And I think that that makes it disingenuous.
that was one of my next questions, is if there's an exemption for building a trail on a private property. Who says, oh, yeah, you use the standards, you're exempt? How do you come in and say, oh, I wanna build a trail, but I'm gonna do it according to the standards, so I'm exempt? It's just this is where I'm saying the attorney would help say, this is so convoluted.
I think we have to be clear here, okay? We had the meeting last month. We got a lot of comments. There were comments in the paper. There were emails to us. There were phone calls. And we cannot legally talk to people. I sent a note to Andrew. He couldn't reply to me.
Well,
We-
this is.
Can I just finish,
Yeah.
please, Carol? Okay, this is our first opportunity to talk collectively.
Okay.
About what we heard. We have not been able to talk to anybody. It's this open meeting
I
law.
understand that.
And I listened very carefully to all the comments. And, I'm prepared to take the word shall out. Okay? The Facein Planning, Conservation Commission's recommended it. I've thought about it a lot. I listened to the comments. I read the emails. And I think that's a red flag. And some gentlemen said really should work on education.
Mhm.
And
Which is
helping
what
people
CRPD
to
said,
understand
yeah.
things. And I think it was, and I think that's a great idea, okay? And after I thought about it, my proposal, and I have not been able to talk to anybody because of the open meeting law, but I will publicly state now that I think the word shall should be taken out, and I'm okay with the word should.
And this goes back to my earlier point that public comment is usually for things that aren't on the agenda. And then when there are things on the agenda, yes, you have your discussion and then you open it up so that after we've heard what you're thinking and saying,
No,
what?
we're trying to have a meeting to figure out what we wanna do.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Discussion among you guys should happen before you open it up to public comment.
Yeah, and we're not, and and it's not like we're gonna not let anyone speak, if. You guys are valuable resources in the room. It's just, due to open meeting law, we're not allowed to have, it's like, so.
Discussion, yet, then don't open it up to our making comments on stuff that you haven't discussed yet. Let us hear what you're thinking before you ask us to speak.
Fair, that's
And
fair.
there's nodding heads.
All right, in the agenda modifications, we'll have a section for public comment towards the end of the meeting before we vote on anything, if we end up voting on it.
On any agenda item, you just open up the room and say,
We'll-
does anybody have anything to say?
No, and I appreciate I really do. It's just, this has been a lot.
I also have a couple of other things in the regulations, but I'll leave it for trails for now, but there are a couple of other things that
About-
kind of jumped out.
Specific LURs.
Specific to LURs and specific to the definition of lot.
Okay, yeah, please email that to Jason, myself, email that, all of our emails are right on the website. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to bring that up. We'd love to add that to the agenda. That's something we definitely.
Is it part of the revision list or is it part of?
It would, well, when you go on my computer, it's redlined and you can see it. On my phone, it's not redlined, so it's kind of.
So
difficult, but
It's
You know,
part of the new
it's
stuff.
redlined, yeah,
It's part of the lot contiguous.
yeah.
Okay, so it is
It is in
something
the
you
revision
do want to
list.
actually speak about today.
Yeah, please, because that's
All right,
before my time.
Let's just do those before you get into your trail stuff.
Yeah,
For public comment.
So
continuous land and lot definition, is that what we're
The
talking about?
lot definition is weird, because you're specifically saying a road divides a lot. I don't know what the lots are like up by Mad River and other places, but people may not want the road to divide their lot. There's always been a question about whether a road divides a lot. or not.
Yeah, there's one right
And you
here.
can say that a road creates a natural subdivision if somebody requests it.
Okay,
But if somebody up at Mad River on this little road owns, an eighth of an acre here and an eighth of an acre here and gets
Yeah.
their quarter acre at that way, they don't want the road making 2 lots, because then they don't have a buildable lot.
10-4,
So don't put that in there as a specific thing.
okay,
And the land use regulation, the ADU chart for 1,600 to 4,000 square feet, is that it?
that's correct.
The max is 2,000.
That's
So
correct.
basically you're saying a 1,600 square foot house can have a 2,000 square foot.
You'd have to do a change of use after that, probably. You'd have to switch the titles on the houses.
It's gotta be subordinate, so how can it be bigger than? It should be a percentage or a max of. And the big houses shouldn't even be a percentage, it should just be 2,000 max. What's the-
Fortunately, the state of Vermont doesn't allow that, and you know that, you're the ZA in Moretown.
State of Vermont says 9,000 or
30% or
900.
900 square feet. And so it has to be 30% of a big house. You know that, Carol.
I don't know that that's for sure, and if you ever check that with an attorney, you should.
No, that we.
Have you checked?
Carol, it's 900 square feet.
It's right here. Yes,
Right there.
I have, Carol, yes, I have. checked
Jordan,
it.
the LURs in Moretown are like do what they want, 100%.
This is in the.
She is right,
it does have to be clearly sworn, this is the Vermont law.
You're right.
I have checked.
Never.
We know about changing it, it's 30 and 900.
Right, but if your
30%.
house is 10,000 square feet, you're saying people can build a 3,000 square,
foot.
don't do it.
That's the
In
Vermont.
statute,
Yes, but they're
in
trying to
the
fix
statute,
that.
it clearly states that an ADU has to be 30% or 900 square, that's your minimum, that's your baseline. So if a house
Larger.
is
Larger.
large,
So 30% is larger.
Well, then for the really big houses, I would just cut it to 900 feet.
So,
It's, look into it, is all I'm saying. I'll look into it and send you.
I'm gonna read just for the.
No, please don't.
It's a short.
don't read anymore.
Trails, we're not gonna read anymore. I'll look into it and I'll send you more information.
It's gonna take me 60 seconds. And what is an accessory dwelling unit? A municipal bylaw may not prevent a homeowner from adding an ADU on a single-family owner-occupied lot as a permitted use as long as these conditions are met. 1, the property has sufficient wastewater capacity. 2, the ADU equals no more than 30% of the total habitable square footage of the house or 900 square feet, whichever is greater. And 3, the proposed ADU is not in a regulated flood hazard or fluvial erosion area. That's the state law.
That's what we're up against, Carol. That's the truth.
Well, then I would consider changing it and getting rid of I don't know, I know there are serious concerns about somebody building an enormous house and then building an enormous ADU.
I share your concern.
Well, then, I would talk to an attorney about what you can do if you want to tier it like that, because not many towns have, or I don't even know if anybody has. But
Does anyone have any public comments before we continue with our chat? Freddie, do you want me to read your letter?
Please.
This is Freddie Graves' words. Before we go any further in our work as a planning commission, I think it's important to speak to something that's come up repeatedly. This underlying desire, whether stated or not, for the town and state to exercise more and more control over private land. We all agree no one wants runoff, erosion, or poor land practices that harm others. That's a shared value. But we must also recognize something else just as important. Many of the landlords in Facein have been stewards of their land for generations, 20, 40, 60, 100 years, some since the 1700s. They know their land intimately, and they've taken care of it long before any of us were on this board. Meanwhile, your collective experience may add up to 20 years, give or take. So we need to approach this with humility. When the board, or for that matter, the recreational groups start talking about how landowners shall manage their land or build trails to meet public standards, it comes across as presumptuous and it feels like entitlement. If we want to preserve access and maintain good relationships, the burden cannot fall on the landowners to accommodate everyone's vision. Instead, the responsibility must lie with the groups promoting recreation to educate the public, to make sure people understand appropriate versus abuse. If a trail is marked closed, it means closed. If it's raining or the ground is wet, using those trails causes damage, real lasting damage through erosion and compaction, and that must not go. Most importantly, we need to restore a sense of respect and responsibility about land access in Vermont. We've long had a tradition. Just because it's legal to walk on unposted land does not mean you do it. You ask permission. Then if permission is not granted, you act responsibly. If you open a gate, you close it. If you pack it in, pack it out. If you don't go near dwellings. That's the ethic that's made private land accessible possible in Vermont for so long. So as we move forward, I urge us not to forget the generosity and the stewardship of those who own and care for this land. Because if we lose their trust, we will lose access and the traditions that make Vermont and particularly Facein what it is. Thank you, Freddie Graves.
So can we have our discussion
Yeah, let's do
and then public comment after?
I have a few things to raise as we go into this. In 6, we have a lot more work to do than what it says on the revisions list. If you go into the LURs, specifically if you go to 2.1, I'll give you guys a second to get there, which is gonna be on page zoning districts 2.1, where to put it? It's gonna be on page 7. You're gonna notice that the permitted uses are only forestry and pond, and conditional use would be an outdoor recreational facility. So E subparagraph 3, which is what we opt to change, is a different text than in 2.2 or 2.3. It's also different in 2.7, so we're gonna have to have a change for 2.1. I think the same change for 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. So in 2.1, we need to come up with a paragraph, and I think it's just a matter of changing bicycle trails to our new stuff, and Michael has an idea of what he wants to change the bicycle trails section to. In 2.2, it says, outdoor recreation facilities shall be a permitted use in this district and are limited to blah, blah, blah. All other outdoor recreation facilities require conditional use, which is going to the DRB. Does that make sense? And then in 2.3, it's the same. Right? Has the same listings. And then in 2.4. 2.4 is the same. Dyersville Commercial District doesn't even have it. 2.6 is the same, but then in the flood hazard, this is what's important. It says outdoor recreation facilities in this district are limited to recreational fields, unpaved trails, and public swimming, boating, and fishing accesses that do not include fixed structures or parking facilities. So we can't just change all of those paragraphs wholesale. We just need to go through and figure out what we want to change to bicycle trails. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we have to change them. So my takeaway from July, there were 3 issues. Okay, the first issue was shall versus should. Okay, and that caused a lot of angst. And consistent with the comments we just read, Freddie's and the Facein Conservation Commission, as well as emails, I've publicly stated that I'm okay with taking the word shall out. I think it's not doing anybody any favors. There were 2 other items that was raised to our attention: trail definition versus path. And on that, I want to read to you people what I would like to propose. Did a lot of.
Which one are we talking about? Are we doing the trail definition now? Are we which one are we working on? Because we should work on each one as a separate.
Well, I think the point you raised is that we've got differences in these different districts.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that.
Okay, but are you going to trail definition right now? Or are you staying in the districts? Which one are you talking about?
I think my proposal is that you've raised that this needs to go to all of them. But I think we should do this overriding concept first. That was the point that people gave us all the comments on. That's what I recall from July.
Okay,
I acknowledge the fact that we've got differences in the different districts, which we need to address.
mhm,
But the bulk of the comments we got were over trail definition, should versus shall. And are they new trails, existing trails, maintained trails? So there were those are the three topics.
okay, so we're not changing it to shall. It's been shall forever. We didn't suddenly decide to make it shall. That's not what we did. Right?
We're asking you to,
No, you did do that.
we're asking you to remove shall and put should.
We didn't create
Yeah,
shall.
you did, because you took what was limited to just bikes, a bike trail that was an accessory to an outdoor recreation facility and turned it into all trail.
So the thing that I'd like to say is supplemental district standards E3 applies to outdoor recreational facilities, right? Does someone want to read the definition of outdoor recreational facility from the LURs?
Yes, I'll read that. Okay,
Page 143.
144, please. Outdoor recreation facility. Any facility for outdoor recreation, including but not limited to tennis courts, golf courses, athletic fields, swimming pools, and trails for hiking, horseback riding, bicycling, snowmobiling, alpine and cross-country skiing, except for such facilities that are accessory to a single-family dwelling unit, comma, and ski lifts and ski lift facilities that are defined separately for the purposes of these regulations.
So what does that mean?
And if we change it to should, are we gonna have to deal with any of these, or does that solve all three problems?
No, but like. The should shall. Michael has 100 acres of property. It is not an outdoor recreation facility. He has a single family home. Now, I understand we need to change it to residential. Like, unfortunately, that's not on the agenda, but that's definitely gonna happen in our next lap. Like, you're totally right. That single family is very, very small defined. Unfortunately, we don't have that on our agenda, so we can't change that, but it's very much on my hit list.
Right, and
Okay.
I also address land that somebody owns that holds the big land that doesn't have a dwelling unit at all.
Yeah, and that's,
I don't
that's.
know what that word should be, but.
Yeah, and I mean, I have your email printed right here. I mean, like, I've, like, I'm gonna address all of the things you put in your email. But. Michael doesn't have an outdoor recreational facility. He has a big piece of property with a house on it, so. E3 doesn't apply to his land. Shall or should it doesn't matter, right? But like, matter for Glen and Sugar Bush, those are outdoor recreational. Jason, help me out here. Is that an outdoor recreational facility or is that the ski lift place? That's the ski lift place. So if they wanna build that else, they don't go to E3. They just go to Act 250 and everything else.
The business. Not private, it's a business.
So my point of saying is that the shall doesn't apply to the quote unquote typical landowner. Now, you can find exceptions to everything. The vacant land without a residence, single family residence is what's in the definition. Is something else.
Oh, that means,
Yeah.
And are we also talking about just trail buildings, so existing trails are not?
Yeah,
I'd like to talk about that.
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, restate your question, I apologize.
Are we gonna talk about new or existing trails and separate it? And I'd like to talk about that, because I've addressed that.
Yeah, I'm not keeping you from doing something. I just wanted to make it clear that E3 was only buying into outdoor recreational facilities. That's the.
I
We're a homeowner association that's 25 acres that has trails on it. So are those existing trails now have to apply as a standard, or are they separate?
So,
Because
okay,
they're existing.
okay, so let me try to. Can we park the outdoor recreation thing, because we need to work it, but. We were asked to come up with a definition for trails,
Okay,
okay? And we have a proposal that I'd like to discuss with my people for the first time.
sure.
Also, to address your question, that was asked of us by the public. Exactly what you said, and here's what I propose. So, new trails or existing trails that are substantially improved. For example, relocates of over 250 feet or having new construction with materials imported the trail. Should be constructed using the recommended standards, and we list them. Existing trails are grandfathered, providing that they are simply maintained in their approximate original location and original condition. So basically, if you've got an old trail and it's been there and you just maintain it the way it's been, so be it. But if you're gonna go out there and bring in an excavator and redo 250 feet or more, and you're gonna bring in pressure treated wood and a bunch of other things and things, then you probably should be doing that for your own financial awareness. You're already outlaying a lot of money, you ought to be following some guidelines.
Did you, I just sent you his email that he just read, did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So, and I want to specify also that I think this should, these guidelines for education, that's my
Alright.
point.
so you're proposing that we take out from bicycle in every sector, from where it says bicycle. Bicycle trails shall be built, and you wanna submit this new trails or existing trails that are substantially improved, that's what you wanna put there?
Well, before we get there, I was addressing her question. So that's my proposal for addressing the new versus existing trails. Then we had the question about trails and paths. And I think you guys actually had referenced the Forest Service guidelines. There's a table somewhere I got it here. And so several other people referenced that table too, and it's good. So what we do for a trail definition, I'd like to read this. An improved traveled way,
Dude, that's a lot of words. Can we just put up on the screen?
yeah,
Let's try to put it up on the screen. I just feel like we're doing a lot of reading.
well. What I'm basically saying in this, while he's pulling it up, is there's 5 classes of trails. And your path is a class 1 trail, minimally developed, or a class 2 moderately developed. So that's a path. And the trails that we're talking about that really need to be consistent with these guidelines are the class 3, 4, and 5 in the trail matrix. That's what we're proposing. That's what I'm proposing.
Is that because those, class 4 roads are part of public lands?
We would like to not differentiate between public and private land, because the conditions on the land and the trails and the impact don't respect private versus public boundaries. If you have a major use trail, like whether it's on your property or whether it's on public land, we ought to have it to a good standard, because it's gonna get a lot of use. But if it's a privately used, primitive, minimally developed, or moderately developed trail per this matrix,
But this is different, this is not a class 4 road we're talking about.
no, I'm not talking about class 4 roads, we're talking about
Yeah,
class
actually-
trails, not roads.
Yeah.
Class 4 roads
Here-
slash legal trail.
Yeah, here's the matrix, if you haven't seen it.
And there's a whole new.
This
is the
trail
classification for the
US
Forest.
We're basically saying these are the
Alright.
trails.
No, Tom Bridge.
So this is what he's proposing.
He stated that there was, that these apply to public facilities.
yes.
And private.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what, so
I
what,
thought the
oh,
private-
that's a question that I answered incorrectly at the last meeting. I just wanna make sure we didn't do it again. What was the question?
Do these standards, I thought I heard in the language earlier on that, that these standards apply to public facility, or to recreational facilities.
So this, this thing, I think we're talking about the specific, parts of the LURs and the different zoning districts. That only applies to outdoor recreational facilities, not, and unfortunately, it,
What?
there's some private land is categorized as an outdoor recreation facility and some it's, you know, like, that's, so I can't say that it's, I can't give you a defined line in the sand.
So I would know if my land was a public.
Was outdoor recreational facility?
facility. Have I had to apply some to some standard?
Put it in a tennis court or something.
Alright,
There's trails.
Yeah, Jason, I'm sorry to loop you in, but yeah, help me out here a little.
outdoor recreational facility. Best way to clarify, you have land. You have a dwelling unit on your land,
Okay,
yes?
yes.
You're not an outdoor recreation facility. So anything like tennis court, swimming pool, that would be an accessory to the single family dwelling.
Okay,
Now, if you have something that
well, then I don't have to worry about.
you're not an outdoor everything, if you have a trail, it's an accessory to.
Very important to know.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then, now if you don't have, if you have undeveloped land other than a trail, a tent platform. That would be issued, the permit would have been issued under the outdoor recreational facility guidance.
Okay, so I would know that clearly.
I would hope so, but not necessarily.
Thank you.
yeah,
But if you understand, it's an accessory use.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to clarify.
Here, like, is this gonna be applied to my private thing?
That's why he keeps trying to talk about clarifying something with the tables and the E3 and outdoor recreational facility, and that's why he had someone read the definition of outdoor recreational facility, because it talks about except if it's an accessory to a single family dwelling unit, which then he wants to correct that also.
Right.
But it applies to tent platforms and other things like that too.
so what Michael's saying is he wants to add this item 6 in the LURs. New trails or existing trails are substantially improved, and I think I didn't do that.
Remind me later, remind me later.
Right. I think that my biggest concern is we have a broken link, so I wanna send people to a resource. Wendy said something about isn't. Someone is working on new standards. Didn't the CRV come up with some guidelines for all towns in the valley? Why not wait till the state finishes document on trails? That I understand in the process of, and my assumption, you know how assumptions work.
Yeah.
Is that they're gonna put those standards on the Vermont Department of Natural Resources Trail Standards website. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
That would, so that's why the PC is trying to push to that website.
I got it.
My question is, since the CRB group did come up with trail standards that they've already published. And that's our local group who's very concerned about ecology, recreation, the mesh and everything. Why not just point people to that?
Where they
document?
publish.
Because they point to the same document.
I don't think so.
Yes.
CRB came up with their own.
Yes, and in there they reference the ANR. I have it right
It
here.
all goes back to the ANR, so like, it's not like, we're just trying to make it so that this situation doesn't happen again. So I don't know, Andrew, like,
I'm fine with that.
if, I just wanted to say shall, not should.
I'm fine with should.
You're fine with should. Paul, Freddie, help me out.
You know, I am not about shall. And I, bel-
Paul,
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I'm as the former criminal defense lawyer and rules maven, I'm kind of all about shall. And, you know, I agree. I've read carefully the letter from the Basin Conservation Commission, and I agree with 90% of it. What I take issue with is what I always take issue with. And I quote from it, it says the LUR would serve as a guide for the landowner and they could consider any relevant aspects of the guidelines for the trail they intend to build, but not be required to do any one thing in particular. This is appropriate as trails needs are often presented on a case-by-case basis, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess my question, or something that needs to be discussed, and what everybody, what if, a landowner decides they don't want to do anything? They don't want to look at any guidelines. They follow no guidelines because they don't have to, because it should. And they do nothing. And they build a trail that causes horrible erosion, and it impacts their neighbors, and it impacts the town. What do we do then? I mean, I'm just looking at it like a worst case scenario. And what does Jason do? What happens if you're the neighbor, and upstream from you, upslope from you, your neighbor has followed no guidelines and has put in a trail, and you've got runoff in your backyard, and you call the town and you call Jason, and he can't do anything because our LURs are toothless.
But I want
No.
to reiterate my.
I want to hear what
This
people
section-
I want to hear what some of the people at the meeting, some of the public that are concerned, I agree 100% with the sentiments of Freddie's. I agree with Freddie's letter. I agree with all those sentiments. I agree that for generations people have been good stewards of the land. And I agree with Freddie that there's a collective wisdom and experience that I'm not tapped into because I'm a new guy. But there's more of us, there's more people like me coming as well. And they have no experience. They're not rooted in the traditions of Vermont.
There are two things I'm going to interject, Paul, and
Yeah.
that is, one, I believe it is incumbent upon all of the recreation groups to educate their members, as well as the general public. And I think the trail apps need to have an educational component. And I believe it's incumbent upon the recreation groups to encourage that and to submit those documents to them. And I think if people would stop just using Front Porch Forum and actually go speak to other people. And as my neighbor said, they came here like everybody before them to get away from it all. And the new people are bringing it with them. We need to stop that. We need to educate them and make them part of this community and not a flagrant violator. And I don't see that yet because most of the people don't want to harm not only their own land, but nobody wants to hurt their neighbor.
I'm not suggesting that they do anything intentionally, Freddie. I'm just saying that they're uneducated, and we've talked about this. The guidelines or the land use regulations have an educational component, but they also have to have an enforcement component. And if you're right, and you're right, if people aren't talking to their neighbors, or they're not involved with Mad River Riders, or they're not involved with any other group that is encouraging responsible trail building, and they just go out willy-nilly and do whatever the hell they want, and they're not educated, then we're going to run into problems. And you're right, they're bringing, and so that's why I just think that what we're suggesting here doesn't mean that we're this isn't the town of Facein or people that are new to the valley coming in and telling longtime residents what to do with their land. It's nothing like that. It's just having the ability to have some enforcement mechanism at the disposal of the town for Jason and for whoever comes after Jason, because it's not going to get any better. it's only gonna get worse. The flooding is gonna get worse, the weather's gonna get worse, the influx of new people replacing the old people that have been doing it the right way for generations, okay? You should be concerned about that. You should be concerned. You should be concerned that there is somebody at the town that's kind of looking after the old ways. Not being concerned that because we put shall in a land use regulation, it means that Jason's going to be coming knocking on people's doors and telling them how to build a trail. Because that's not what it is.
It is. As the town of Warren said, we don't want to get into people's business on their private property. If
This-
we ever have a problem, it's a living document. And if there was a major problem, it could be changed if it became necessary. Currently, it is not necessary. We have never had a problem. We haven't had a problem that Jason has ever had to regulate. So we are, okay, that's all I'm going to say right now.
With people coming in and doing logging and forestry activities shall meet all applicable state regulations. And I'm sure a lot of people have walked into logging projects that weren't closed out properly for the A&Rs, okay?
So why aren't we talking to loggers? And why aren't we talking about those instead of, and those become trails? You know, these things that you are trying to regulate on private land and you say, oh, okay, we're trying to stop what's happened, what's gonna happen. What has happened that we have to put a regulation in to actually walk onto people's land and tell them that your trail actually caused damage downstream when we have roads that just disappear in storms. You know, it's kind of mind-boggling that you want to tell somebody that they shall build it to a standard, because why? Have you lived on this land for 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 years? And, you know, I watched what happened on Boys Hill and I'm disgusted, you know?
We're not
Okay?
talking about,
That's my opinion.
we're not talking about roads. Listen.
Wait a second. You're not talking about roads, but
with all due
these
respect,
are the things that disappear.
with all due respect, we need to work through these revisions, and we're gonna be here all night if we keep going like this. We just can't do it, okay? The shall that's in this is not about quote unquote private property. This is for outdoor recreational facilities. Save this energy for the exemption and how we frame that. That affects private property, okay? That is what affects private property, not this. Carol, you waited very patiently.
In response to Paul, one of my things would be the CRD group, which has spent years working on this, you know, how to mesh recreation and the ecology, is saying we don't need to regulate it, we need to educate people. That's what the CRD, who's been focused on this for a really long time, 15 different organizations involved in it. That's what they're saying. Education is key, regulation is not what we need.
Okay.
And then the other thing I was going to say, why do we need the exemption if the outdoor recreation is the only thing that has should, and it already exempts
Oh, Carol, what's the definition of development of land?
creation of a structure?
Grading of land, grading of soil, right? You need to pull a permit to develop the property, and trail building could be defined as development, right? So by that logic, you need to pull a permit to build trails on your property. Do you wanna have to pull a permit to build a trail on your property?
I really.
What's a trail and what's a
We're
path?
gonna get to that, but I have full respect for you, but we have to.
Just because I really appreciate that you've said that my network of trails are an accessory to my thing.
Yes,
There's also the category I just want to put out there of people who have like the Bass Trail
Yes,
crossing their private land, which then is, I assume, what category, like, where do they lie?
they do a really great job maintaining the trails, right?
Right.
and they hold the
I'm thinking
standards.
Equivalent of like,
Like, I mean, I have this email from the Bridgewaters that, like, it's a resume of amazing. You know, White Mountains, Hutman Trail Crew, I mean, you guys know how to build trails, I don't understand how this is such. A barrier to you, like, if you're already building trails to the standards, like. How are we creating undue hardship by trying to make other people do what you already do?
Well, then it's education, it's not
it's
demanding.
that.
Okay,
That's
so.
the
But
problem.
when they don't do it and it impacts you, what does the town do?
So, and the
Then
town-
you'll have, either you go like we used to, as Vermonters, and knock on the door and go, hey, are you gonna take care of this? Or do I have to sue you to take care of it? It's a
Oh, great. So
civil
then we get lawyers involved and the only people that benefit then are the lawyers, trust me.
lawyer.
He's a retired lawyer, and
Well, it doesn't matter. Yes, you get a lawyer involved. If
come on,
you
Ben,
can't,
seriously,
if you can't come to an
Ben,
agreement.
Ben.
Wait a second, if you can't come to an agreement with your neighbor, how are you going to settle? You're gonna, if you have enough money, you're gonna sue them to take care of it. We don't want that, nor do we want people to shut off their property because you tell them they have to do something that.
Can you save this energy for the exemption, please? I don't know how many times to bang it over your head that this is an outdoor recreational facility. Part of the LURs, that it is not about your property, it's not about your trails, it's not about your trails. This is about outdoor recreational facilities. I like what Michael wrote, I just think it should say shall, I agree with Paul, I agree with Jason. We have shall for forestry, it's not gonna be, it can't be should, it has to be shall.
So. I'm part of the Hiddenwood Homeowners Association.
Yeah.
We have 25 acres as a collective group.
Yeah,
That has no dwelling on it,
yeah,
and it does have trails on it. The Catamount has a permanent easement through it,
okay,
and we have other trails, which we don't post. Somebody has blazed it, and we've unblazed that trail. But the point is that we're gonna have to move that because we have someone that bought the 60 acres next to it. That's creating a $10,000, 10,000 square foot house with an ADU.
Mhm.
So we have to move our trail, and he's allowed us to go across to then private land. But the point is, we're gonna have to move that trail. So as an association, which is now a recreation district, then we're gonna have to abide by that. So as a homeowner association, we don't have money to do that.
Hold on, are you building trails or not?
Yeah,
But I just wanna make the undue hardship was not created by the PC. The undue hardship was created by the neighboring landowner, which is causing you to reroute the trail. You have to spend money to reroute the trail. So your argument is, we wanna build a shitty trail with bad erosion?
No,
Okay, so then what are you saying? Like, you should build to standards. This is not that, they built the standards. We're just asking you to build the standards and after we're gonna show you it.
is that?
I mean, like, if you. There's never been a permit pulled to build any of those mountain bike trails that exist in Waitsville, okay? The people who do it, they do it the right way, and we don't have a problem. So the LURs are used when people are bad actors.
Who's going out and checking those? mountain bike
In
trails?
theory, it would be the zoning administrator. That's who it is, okay? But the trail that you need to build as a homeowner association, we're not making it more expensive for you. It should be built to standards regardless. Because if you're being a good steward for the environment, it should be built to those standards. You shouldn't build a trail that's gonna erode and destroy things. It would cost you more money to keep it going. You build it right once, buy once, cry once. That's how it works. We're not making it more expensive.
Education, and you said should about 5 times. And it's, you just need to educate people like Hiddenwood, hey, you have to move your trail, can we give you some literature on how to build a trail?
I'm with you, Carol.
Education.
I'm with you.
But
And
you're not, because you're saying.
Still saying should versus shall, and shall makes it sound like.
If you're gonna have should in the land use regulations, then you should have nothing in the land use regulations.
I mean,
Okay, I understand. If you're building a swimming as an association, you shall build it the proper way.
Right.
if you're maintaining a trail that you've always had, you don't have to.
But they're moving a trail, and by Michael's
Well, moving
definition.
a trail now, that's something you have to work on.
No, but that's what Michael's saying, new trails or existing trails that are substantially improved, e.g. relocates over 250 feet or having new construction with materials imported to the trail. And I wanna say shall be constructed, and he's saying should, I wanna change that to shall, that's because it's the land use regulations. Using recommended trail standards, and we have to work through pointing to what those standards are. So in the case of Hiddenwood. An outdoor recreational facility, you would have to build to the A&R recommended trail standards.
Wait,
But only if they're moving it 250 feet or more.
but are you?
Is that correct?
Per month proposal.
Are you gonna move it?
We
Are you gonna move it more
25
than-
acres.
Are you gonna move it more than
Wait,
250 feet?
But
And I don't mean to insult you with the shitty truck on, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said.
25.
yeah, but 25 acres, so, but why are you?
We need to
doing
get this meeting.
Outdoor recreation.
Because we have trails on it without, for the dwelling.
But they're not.
Oh. Alright, so for the sake of moving this meeting along, all comments will be going to the commission board. Cause they really do gotta get some work done.
Yeah, but can I just ask for a question?
Yeah.
And because this would go to you guys too, so if the land is common land around your units, is that an outdoor recreation facility? Associated with the dwellings. That's what I'm asking.
The way the current definition is written, that is not part of the contiguous. It is not covered. This is a loophole we need to figure out.
That's that open land.
It's open land is not covered here.
That's common land,
Yeah,
what Hiddenwood, they have a common land parcel.
Yeah.
Which was right next to the Joyce parcel, which ended up being a whole thing in itself too.
so that's all I was asking, is.
So it's like almost like any. Like battleground, all the land around it was the common land.
And so right now, because of the way it's written, that makes it an outdoor recreation facility. Did I understand that right?
No, what's happening, what's,
It's
No.
not associated with a house.
that's the thing we need to fix.
Okay, that's what I.
That's what we need to fix, because the way it's written right now is except for such facilities that are accessory to a single family dwelling unit. And we need to have the land too. I think several people have pointed that.
So, but when you fix
The
that,
exemption, like, all of this energy needs to come to how we phrase the exemption, like, we're pushing our energy at the wrong item on our land use
You
regulation.
really want me thinking about this.
So, but what if you got, if you change that to residential, accessory to a residential use,
Yeah.
would that, in your opinions, would that cover somebody like Hiddenwood being exempt?
Carol, once again, we're gonna create an exemption, which is gonna push to a standard, which is gonna cover every rock soil in the town of Facein. So that's where the energy should be focused, because ultimately, we're just fixing this part of the LURs, but we're creating an exemption because we don't want people to have to pull permits. And we have to figure out how to phrase that. So like, it's not a moot quiz. We wanna move on to. We need to get this done. We need to decide what we're gonna do.
You guys.
I'm sorry, Carol, this has been one of the most,
It's really hard on yourselves, don't apologize to me, you're making things hard for yourselves.
hi Freddie,
Hiddenwood thing is you
What?
could argue on a property like Hiddenwood that each home has a percentage of those trails. Right? I mean, you could argue that 6 ways from Sunday.
It's common land, yeah.
alright, so. Does anyone have anything to say about Michael's? So we're changing everything after bicycle
In every section.
in every section. Well, I mean. We're not gonna be able to vote on it tonight because it's entirely too much paper, it's entirely too much typing, but it's basically. We're gonna replace bicycle trails shall be constructed using appropriate standards in New York to. What Mr. Jewell has come up with, new trails or existing trails that move over 250 feet. I mean, Are you married to the exact words or is there, does everyone happy with the way it's phrased? Cause.
No, not me. But you know that.
Because, well, no, it says should, Freddie, and I
I
propose
think
changing that
Michael's
word to
part
shall.
6 is shall, isn't it? Can you put it back up on the screen? Can I get that?
It is on the screen there.
New trails or existing trails that are substantially improved, and I give some examples, for example, relocates of over 250 feet. And if we want to argue and have a different number, that's fine. Or having new construction with materials imported to the trail should be constructed using the recommended trail standards and maintained by the Vermont Agency of Natural Resources and the Vermont Town Forest Trail Design Guides. Existing trails are grandfathered, providing they are simply maintained in their approximate original location and condition.
And because this only applies to outdoor recreational facilities, and because it needs to say shall, because it's a regulation, not a suggestion for outdoor recreational facilities, I propose we change it from should to shall.
And I think I was in that before because listening to Paul and I've been a landowner for almost my entire life. I grew up on a farm. We still have the farm in our family, and the farm is going to stay in our family. We've got a succession plan, etc. Can't make money on the farm, so it's not farming. We're making it's a solar farm now and tree farm. So I've been working land since I was able to crawl and get my diapers dirty in the dirt. So the point is that we are trying to educate people, and I'm okay with taking the word shall out. I think it should. It helps. It's a pointer to what people should be doing. It's consistent with the CRV is saying. And okay, if something happens and somebody makes a mess, then there's going to most likely be a lawsuit. There's going to be a big deal. And then maybe we have to fix something later. But for now, since we haven't had a big problem, we do have problems with the river water quality. We're trying to improve. We're trying to educate people. And if new people coming into the valley, I think what we need to do is move on by pointing people to the guidelines, which are consistent with the CRV guideline. It's actually a reference in there, and then say should. And then if somebody else causes a real ruckus, that's going to be a civil suit.
And the same at outdoor recreation facilities.
I think we have to fix the outdoor recreation facilities to include land that doesn't have the dwelling unit on
We
it.
can't do that right now, Michael.
Okay.
That's not.
Why
on the-
can't we add that?
We can't change the definition of outdoor recreation facility. It's not on the revisions list.
Let's
We
add
can
it.
do that after this. We need to make changes to it. It's on the hot button list. It shouldn't say single family dwelling, it should say residential. There's
Yep.
a lot of things that need to change. All we're
Yep.
trying to address now is as it affects outdoor recreational facilities in each of our zoning districts, we'd like to change the bicycle test to Michael's text. And I'm asking, I believe, Paul, are you shall?
I'm a shall.
I'm a shall. Andrew should. Michael
I'm a should now.
and Freddie.
I'm a should. Or
All right.
I even go less than should. We recommend.
This is for outdoor recreational facilities, not. Is everyone understand? I feel like I'm just repeating.
Not for
myself.
private landowners, not for just not for just your bridle paths and stuff. I don't know.
I think the outdoor recreation facility is a permitted public.
Nope. Andrew, why are you, can you explain whether it should, not shall?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
So the outdoor recreation facility
yeah.
that you're talking about, basically is Sugar Bush Farm and Mad River.
Well,
No.
they're not even outdoor
Nope,
recreational.
nope, nope,
facilities.
nope, nope, no.
They're not.
What, where in Basin are we in?
So let me, I'm gonna just we had a situation that occurred in town, was about tent platforms, which we read the thing, we all know tent platforms was part of that, so I don't have to read it again, right? It was an undeveloped lot, and the homeowner applied for permits to put some tent
The
platforms. Landowner, yeah. And they weren't accessory structures because, well, there was no primary. Cause there was no accessories, so the ZA at the time, wasn't me. Went ahead and issued the zoning permit for these tent platforms. Rightfully so, cause it fell under the outdoor recreational facility. This thing went through the environmental court, it went through all sorts of nonsense. So no, an outdoor recreation facility for the trail would just be a lot that the trail wouldn't be accessory. Right now, it says single family unit, but if it's just an undeveloped lot and you build trails on it, that trail is an accessory dwelling, unit,
Even if they're not open to the public.
even if they're not over.
Even if not.
So what was the result of the environmental court and?
They won, but the homeowner won with his tent platforms and all that, but it really came down to more of a setback issue. But they saw no issue with the use because our land use regulations spoke clearly on that,
Right,
so.
so that kind of was an issue that maybe precipitated some of this, but in the end.
No, it had nothing to do, it's just an example of outdoor recreational facility and how it's not Mad River Glen, not Sugar Bush, it can be that lot right there.
So if you,
Or Gasparini's lot up here, cause it's not like it could be, cause it's not developed.
if you owned a large piece of property and you wanted to say, put in a clubhouse and some mountain bike trails and some tennis courts. You want to,
You have to get a building.
that would be an outdoor recreational facility.
But you also have to get permits for that, don't you?
Tons of permits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you have undeveloped land that you're gonna put trails on it, you need to permit.
See, that's
Actually,
the part
as
I don't
they
like.
stand. Actually, as the land use regulations stand right now. Yes, you have to pull a permit for undeveloped land for an outdoor recreation facility. Even more so, if you were theoretically to want to build an accessory, you have a single family resident on your land. And you want to build a trail on there, well, accessory use is permitted use, so. Technically, that trail, because there is no exemption in our land use regulations for trails. Could very well apply, that's why he kind of went into the definition of development and all that good stuff. But yeah, you theoretically have to apply for a permit for a trail, even if it's accessory to your single family dwelling unit. That's why these guys really are looking at
Are
these exemptions. Who's that?
Sorry.
Freddie, we're
Granddaughter.
losing you.
Nope, sorry.
and can you help me understand why you shall not should, I mean, should not shall?
I think there are enough other regulations that are gonna safeguard us, between setbacks, wetlands, Act 250.
What are the setbacks workshop?
Well, there's setbacks for disturbing a certain amount of earth.
What's the setbacks for the trail?
Well, I was looking more into like driveways and roads.
10 feet for a driveway,
10 feet.
but it's specific for a driveway.
And then on steep slopes, it's defines it as disturbing 1,000 square feet.
That's for anything on 15%. Right, but that's not setbacks though.
No, I'm just saying there all these different guardrails, kind of.
And be for a driveway, how far from the property?
For the driveway?
Yeah.
Just so you understand this, I'm only for outdoor recreational facilities, I just want to, if someone understands what I'm saying.
Yeah, but outdoor, it could be someone's lot.
But to Andrew's.
Whose lot?
It could, I mean, outdoor, we just said outdoor recreation facility could be just somebody's vacant lot with trails. It's not a big public facility.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm fine with shit for that.
but how do you get declared an outdoor recreational facility?
How do you get declared an outdoor?
Like, how does a vacant lot go from being a vacant lot that somebody owns that they,
They would have to apply for the permit.
to do what?
To build tent platform, bicycle trails, whatever it says.
Parking lot.
in there.
See, I think that's baloney too.
I believe we actually have an outdoor recreational facility actually behind Mad River Barn. Is that tenant?
That's Betsy Lynn.
Huh?
That's.
She's got a tennis court and,
Well, it's actually belongs to Meadow a tennis club and it's an unlanded parcel. It's not really Betsy's. But I believe that would be an outdoor recreational facility because it'd be a tennis court. That's not, it's an unlanded parcel.
Ooh, right.
All right, let's,
So because that's a,
all right, let's,
it's a
let's,
public.
let's table, let's table item
private
6.
club, well, then, you know.
Let's
you
hash out the
allow it
definition
to
of
Go
trail.
in there as a private club tennis court. Somehow. They don't have, you've already given them permission to do that.
All right, I'd like to table item 6, and I'd like to move on to the definition of trail, the trail
Tom-
definition.
Tom McCarthy had a comment and I don't see it anywhere. Did someone address that?
He was before should also, oh, see, here's another one.
Huh? Oh, wow.
If we disagree about the wording for trails, I would want to see should also. It should be should, not shall. We can understand a future looking concern, but we need to start with education. Then if that proves ineffective, then adjust language.
There's more if you. Through there.
And Liz Bisbee in the chat just said should, not shall.
we still did you what? Yeah.
Wait, you went too far. A little bit higher, a little bit higher. Because the first one, yeah, it should be should and should.
The paper bag princess is cute. We have it. No, I don't want it. I just read it, but it's cute. She should have sicked the dragon on him.
I'd like to move on to defining trails. Does anyone else think that's a good idea?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, Tom.
All right, so what happened is a year ago, we had a meeting and the public gave us input about the trail. And whoever's on,
Yes.
can someone mute themselves, please? Thank you. And there's no definition of trail in our book, but there is a definition of path. And what we're proposing
What you're proposing?
is, what I'm proposing, yes, to my working people
I have a
here,
proposal too, as well.
is an improved traveled way established
Sunscreen.
through construction for hiking, walking. Trail is an improved traveled way established through construction for hiking, walking, bicycling, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling. I heard people don't want ATVs, that's fine, we can take that out. Horseback riding and other similar activities. Trails may be used for recreation, transportation, and other compatible purposes. It is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed to highly developed. And there is the US Forest Service trail matrix that basically says there's 5 groups ranging from minimally developed to fully developed. And the minimally developed are basically paths. And the developed are significant traveled ways, including gravelled or roads. Okay, so what we're basically saying is, if you're gonna build a very substantial trail, which is also a forest road, a new trail, you ought to be consulting these. And if you're just working on a path, it's not following the trail, it's a path, not a trail. That's my proposal. Now, maybe it's a bit wordy, but every time we put something shorter, it wasn't detailed enough.
So currently we have no definition for trails. The proposal we put in the land use regulations was it literally said means land use for hiking, walking, bicycle, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, all-terrain vehicle riding, horseback riding, and other similar activities. Trails may be used for recreation, transportation, or other compatible purposes. I would like to change it to an improved traveled way established through construction for hiking, walking, bicycling, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, all-terrain vehicle riding, horseback riding, and other similar activities for the use of recreation, and take off transportation and other compatible purposes. I think that what Michael brings up, defining the classes, if we clean that up, so I think it's good, it's just a lot of words, and I sometimes stumble with that. Does anyone else have a proposal?
I like your concise definition, and I think we start getting into the down in the weeds a little bit with a trail class matrix in our land use regulations. Going from not having any definition at all into an excruciatingly detailed definition seems unnecessary.
What about a link? Because
What's a
Michael,
link?
Michael pulled that.
Oh, no, not another link. They break.
But if that were in the LURs, such as, so it's educational as opposed to
I like that.
definitive. And
Yeah.
like the guy, Mr. Fenton, who came to our meeting a few months ago, we need to shorten this stuff and make it very clear and concise.
So would you say a trail is an improved way established through construction, that's you build it, for hiking, those activities for recreational use?
I'm very slow. I need to see things in writing.
Directly in front of you on my shared screen, it says proposed
No,
trail
no,
definition.
no, I
halfway.
want paper, I want pencil, I want highlighters. And I
Hey,
want to sit at my desk. and
Caroline
go
Pilot,
through it.
fly there that fast.
What'd you say?
I can't fly to you, I don't know where you're on, I can't get there that fast, to hand you a piece of paper.
To reply to Paul's comment about how he thought the liability thing was too complicated,
Yeah,
I think it's actually very clarifying.
Okay.
You can avoid a lot of issues. Yeah, I agree.
After reading them.
I haven't read them, but I think having the word constructed in there,
What is constructed?
Well,
Taking
That
your
does,
shovel
right,
out,
right?
right.
taking your shovel out, and doing drainage.
So if I walk along the edge of my property where animals walk all the time, I'm not constructing anything, but it's a trail and I walk on it.
That's a path,
That is it.
that's a path, that's not a trail, that's a path.
I like that.
Well, then if you're gonna.
But what is constructed? That's,
So in this trail matrix, which when you have details, you can answer these questions.
Yeah,
Cons-
I think that whoever gave you the advice to minimize it was good advice. I think constructed in there is helpful and maybe you can come up with a definition there.
Well, it's in this
I don't
matrix.
see why you would pull out transportation. And the other thing that I meant to ask at some point is, have you consulted with the Maverick Path Association at all about any of this?
He's on the
Yes,
board.
I'm on the board. I work with Misha all the time. And actually, Misha was very, very supportive of what we're doing. That last month, we read a letter that Misha wrote. So, yeah. But constructed is defined in here, basically says, for a path, structures are minimal to non-existent. Drainage typically accomplished without structures, is natural fords, typically no bridges. And then trails have bridges.
Trails have bridges?
Yeah, trails have bridges.
Boards.
You mean, like, can I ask you a question? If you have. You don't wanna walk down through a little wet area, and you put what you would call a bridge. But it's only 2 feet wide that you go over and you're not disturbing. Is that construction?
So what it says here, then is, That'd be a class 2, which is still the path. It says structures of limited size, scale, and quantity, typically constructed of native materials. Okay, they're adequate to protect the trail infrastructure.
Let me answer this simple question. According to Brewster Farms versus, town of. That we the name of town, but that little bit of
Underhill.
bridge considered a de minimis recreational use, so therefore
He
none.
always has really cool combinations.
So you're not developing, you're not.
Huh?
Hey, people on Zoom, somebody's unmuted and you're chatting.
Someone
Yep, you.
propose a meeting Michael's with lots of words, and little words. Someone proposed something that covers all the bases.
Andrew, where are you on?
I took transportation out because someone told me to. I don't remember why.
Pat Association would want me to take out transportation.
They would want me to take out, wouldn't want me to take out transportation. A trail,
Her definition that important.
Hey, Lang. Lang,
yes, Paul.
I just wanted to say, I mean, it seems like not to be a real wet rag here, but I mean, we're supposed to be discussing this as the planning commission. And then there's, public comment and everything. And I'm not there, so I'm having a hard time exactly following. But it doesn't seem like we're discussing this as a planning commission. It seems like this is just like a big open public forum right now, and it's completely counterproductive. I mean, I don't, we're the planning commission. We're supposed to be talking about this. There's a time for public comment. There's a time for public comment on the agenda. And we're just going in circles here. There's just too much input from people that are not on the planning commission. With all due respect for everybody who's there and cares deeply about this, this is not how we're supposed to get things done.
Well, you can thank the Valley Reporter.
Yeah, so.
No, we're happy. I'm happy.
I'm happy everybody's there, but it's just not, this is not the proper time nor place.
Why is it not?
Hey, can I ask?
Why is it not?
Because
If you guys want to do this, are you going to open this again in September for public comment?
we had an open meeting for the public to come and make comments. We now have to clean this up to send it to the select board. The select board will have a public meeting where you can come and make comments. That's what I said last time. This meeting is supposed to be for us to hash it out. I've been trying to steer it to the people on the PC to try to get the items on our agenda taken care of. So let us vet out this trail definition. And let us put something together, and then we'll ask you what you think about our trail definition. Does that work?
That's how it should be done. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's great. But for someone to say that this isn't important to get the input from the people who own the property up here in Facein.
That's what we did.
Disingenuous. I'm
We
sorry.
did that last time. You have to let us work our process. Like
I'm
how?
letting you work the process. But for someone.
He's on the commission also.
Me? Paul's on the commission. Paul, Freddie, Andrew, Michael, and myself are on the planning commission. We were appointed by the select board. We were voted in. This is what we do. We asked for public comment last time. You all came due to the Valley Reporter. We need to conduct our meeting.
And the issue is, we have not been able to talk about this as a group. Planning commission, we tried to talk about it at the end of last meeting. I tried to go in executive session. We were said, no, we can't do that because of open meeting law. We tried to talk to it on our phones. No, we can't do it. It's open meeting law. We have to do it in an announced forum.
And I just
And
want to
so
make,
this is the first time that I've been able to sit with others on our planning commission and talk about these things.
and our planning commission is a true representation of the people of the town. Freddie Graves, very much a representative of the crowd. Michael, very much a like,
We appreciate the work you're doing.
yeah,
We're not
I just,
adversary. We're just trying to.
we're not, everything we say is not gonna be perfect. We're trying to work it out.
Thank you.
So back to the point here, we're trying to figure out a definition for trails. Okay, I've made a proposal, you've made a proposal. Andrew, where are you with trails? I guess you started with the original trail definition. It came out of the Vermont state thing, and that,
This is vague.
yeah, and then we got public comments saying that wasn't good enough.
I'm fine with yours, I don't know if it's even relevant anymore. If
You're
we're,
very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
if it's gonna say should, it's, who
I
cares?
didn't mean to run you guys out of here.
You know what I mean?
Well, no. The definition of trails and should and shall have nothing to do with each other. It's just trails.
Well, they do have something to do with each other, because we're discussing them because of the should and shall.
I think it's educational, Andrew. I mean, it helps to educate people of what we're talking about. And because when you look at the regulations or the guidelines, you know, they talk about trails. Okay, and then we've had a lot of feedback about what's the difference between a path, walking down to my pond or walking
Right,
out to.
and, but the feedback was when we had shall in there. And that's why they're picking the, definitions apart. And I'm not totally opposed to having, either are fine, but in terms of trying to keep it simple and, this is our definitions, it's like what we just did, it's gonna open up more complexities with construction and this matrix.
I have a question. If, and this is as a zoning administrator,
Yeah.
if any regulation that we input into these land use regulations have no regulatory value because they may or may not have to do it, then why are we even doing it?
Exactly.
It's because
Is it my job to be a teacher?
Yeah, I have
Is it
a,
my job to- Or is it
I-
my job to enforce these land use regulations literally?
it's, I
exactly.
thought our job is to be educating. People were saying, can you
No.
educate and
No.
provide references?
They're called land use. I jokingly, I had a phone call. We're allowed to talk one-on-one, no violation of open meeting law. I spoke with Lang earlier today. I said, I might just, jokingly make a motion that we change our land use regulations to land use suggestions. Because they have to have some teeth. They have a regulatory, they're regulations. And it trying to get it through to people that saying shall doesn't mean that Jason's going door to door. It has nothing to do with that. It just means that if there's a violation, the land use regulations have some teeth. So it doesn't have to resort to some
You are
property
making
owner.
people
having-
lawbreakers. You're making them rule breakers if you don't
No,
have
I'm not.
enforcement. Absolutely. What do you think about speeding? Same thing. They aren't just suggestions.
Yeah,
You've
and
got to
people speed
enforce
all the
stuff.
time. People speed all the time, run red lights all the time, and they don't get caught. And people
Precisely
will build,
the point.
and people will build trails without consulting the guidelines, and they won't get caught. Okay, but when somebody speeds and runs over somebody in a crosswalk, then there's trouble, and then there has to be a law in place. Freddie, if you want to use that sort of analogy, okay. So
I'll
that's
pick a
the
different
analogy. People can build a trail, and as long as if it doesn't impact their neighbors, nobody's the wiser. If you speed and run red lights until your heart's content, that's fine. Okay? But if you commit vehicular homicide, you're going to prison.
You just kind of stick into if it doesn't have any regulatory value, then why
But
are we
what's the
adding?
point?
Exactly.
We just leave it as is, because the link is fixed. And if we're not gonna put anything that has any regulatory value, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, honestly.
I mean, we're like, if we start this should shall stuff now, God help us when we get into town plan and LUR revisions, because there's a lot of shalls in this book and they have to exist. We can't detooth the LURs. Like, that's not our job. We can make things less restrictive. We can work to make the the townspeople happier, but
We
like,
can work to educate, we can work to push people to seek out guidelines and everything. But when they don't, when you run a red light or you blow through a crosswalk and you kill somebody, there has to be a law, there has to be a regulation, or what's the point?
It was a bad analogy, Paul, and now you're on it. I think it's so extreme in comparison that it's not relevant. So I
Okay.
apologize for bringing that up as a comparative.
Okay.
Well, I just did a search on the word should in our land use regulations. It comes up 32 times.
I mean, there are times where should and may come up because other things are applicable
shall
to
comes up
that.
751.
Do this, bro.
Shall 751 and should comes up how many times?
32.
32 times it says should, and 751 it says shall.
Oh, thank you, Michael.
May. There's reasons for those words.
They're land use regulations, like, I moved past this because I wanted to get the trails definition done.
May is 336.
Yeah,
But there's reasons for why it wouldn't be shall or may, because other things may be applicable in that scenario.
we keep coming back to the shall thing. This energy that you're talking about telling people what to do on their land, really comes down to the exemption.
I mean, honestly, I mean, we're blue in the face. All these 3 items. We still gotta do this, you still gotta get these revisions. Whichever ones they are to the select board to get this done. We have a town plan to start working on an update. Nikki just talked about some stuff that we may be having to do a deep dive on that, and yet here we are.
Basically-
Spending 3 hours on a subject that in my 3 years here, I have not had to look into one time.
Michael, if you've come around to should. Are you okay just fixing the link then? I mean, you were driving the bigger change originally
Fixing a link to what?
to the guidelines for bike trails.
I think that's. No, because I think the guidelines for bike trails. Unfairly calls out just bikes,
I'm sorry, what?
unfairly calls out just bikes.
That last word,
There's-
ultra,
Pardon?
what's strikes?
If we just say bicycle trails must follow this or should follow this.
Shall, yeah,
Well,
Shall.
you know,
Shall.
it says shall. It says
Andrew
shall.
asked me the question, if I
Yeah.
change should. I think we should say all trails should follow these things. The vast people already do it, that's fine. And I think it allows people to see what's available in the link. So I think singling out bicycle trails. And they are not just the only ones that damage trails.
Well, but switching to should would let them off the hook.
But
And we'll let everybody
they've
off
already
the hook.
said that they follow they follow the guidelines, they've helped to write them. So I talked to Bob, who's the head of the Mad River Riders,
Okay,
and he basically said, I can go look up the email, he said, we follow them, we're good. And he went over with his board, and he says, we have no issues.
right. And so if that's the stance, then we're sort of wasting our time too, if we're just trusting these groups and landowners.
Lot of sunk
Exactly. I
costs.
mean, we're not talking about Mad River Riders. We're just talking about somebody who comes up and just goes off and starts building trails, and they're, as I said, in response to Freddie's letter, they are not somebody who is schooled in the ways of how things have been done in Vermont, and in particular in the Mad River Valley for generations. You can't trust them to do it the right way, and that's why you put shall in there. And that's the last I'm going to say on it. I can't believe that this is going on.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, myself, and Jason all share the same sentiment that these land use regulations need to be just that, regulations. And this is a dangerous road. If this shall gets in, I mean, I understand where Freddie's coming from. This shall is only for outdoor recreational facilities. And this one doesn't even really, it doesn't really even matter because no one can even come up with an outdoor recreational facility that exists in Facein. It affects basically no one. And we're having this much of a problem? Like, do you guys, I mean, do you see where I'm coming from? Do you see where Paul's coming from? Like, 'cause
Yeah, we see where he's coming from, but I mean, I think there are enough other guardrails to protect
what
neighbors.
guardrails?
I mean, there's Act 250, there's steep slopes, I mean, you can't just get away with, there's wetland regulations, there's A&R is gonna, there's other things that will protect you.
Act
So
250
that's-
Act 250 has zero relevance to me on my 13 acres, going out back, and with a trail hog and putting in a nice bermy little single track that then runs off down into Dodge Bingham's land and so forth until it ends up all the way down on Old Center Facein in Michael's backyard. Act 250 doesn't impact, there's no Act 250 guardrail for that, Andrew. Come on,
I'm
you know
pretty
that.
sure any of those people along that waterway that you've created are gonna knock on your door, Paul.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell them to stick it. Because there's nothing in the land use
And
regulations,
we love
there's
that
nothing in the
attitude.
land use regulations that tell me that I did
You
anything
just want to
wrong.
be a jerk. That's what it boils down to.
No, I'm not,
Most
I
people
wouldn't
are
do that,
not
but
jerks.
somebody could. I'm just saying, I'm just painting a worst case scenario, Freddie, which is that's what laws and that's what government is meant to do. I mean, laws aren't in place because the
Right,
majority of people are law abiding. Laws are in place for the people that break the laws and are jerks, okay? And I'm not saying that I would ever do that.
I gotta go.
But I'm just saying somebody else could come up,
I'm gonna
somebody
say
would
good night.
obviously,
Good
could
night.
obviously do that.
Yeah, Paul, I mean,
Well, that
I
went well.
totally see where you're coming from. The Act 250 was just in terms of people that have Act 250 permits on their land. They have a
Yeah,
lot
so-
more restrictions.
But I mean,
that are-
yeah, but Freddie's not here, but let's play out her, let's just game out her, the scenario that I just painted. Okay, and the neighbor comes and knocks on my door. I can tell them I can tell them to just pound sand. And I can say, yeah, sure, go to the town of Facein. I didn't break any land use regulations. So sue me. Yeah, so then they have to sue me. And what's the point of that? But if there's a land use regulation in place, okay, and I didn't follow the guidelines, they can go to the town. Jason can write me a letter. Jason can come out and say, hey, Quinlan, you're mucking up your neighbors. Your runoff is in Michael's backyard. You have to stop. And if you don't stop, you're going to get in trouble. Right? What the hell is wrong with that? Somebody tell
I
me.
would say what's wrong with.
Michael, tell me what's
it's-
wrong with that. Andrew, what's wrong with that?
Well, based on the feedback from the public, it doesn't seem to be their concern.
This is okay. Again, the public is the people that have been, I think this is a small vocal minority, very small minority of people. And we saw it in our very first discussion, last year. This is a very small vocal minority whose passions have been inflamed over this single issue. And if you put out a survey to the entire town of Facein, I don't believe that you would get a similar response.
I mean,
Okay, we're hearing from the same people over and over and over again, and we're making the mistake of believing that they speak for all of the citizens of Facein, and I don't believe that they do.
Carol wants 30 seconds to talk.
Sure.
We haven't finished, we're still working,
I know,
we're
but
working internally here.
I know, I'm with you.
I mean,
It's pretty germane to what Paul just said. Previous planning commission, a previous iteration of the land use regulations, we tried to put in an overlay district that prevented long driveways, prevented breaking up corridors, prevented breaking up the forest. The planning commission was mostly for it, and then there was one person who decided he was against it. And he got the community, again, a small vocal group of people saying, this is stupid, you can't do this, why are you taking away our property rights? And the select board didn't pass it. I really wonder if you discussed this with the select board. I mean, how much likelihood is there of all this passing? I mean, Jason's right, you're spending hours on stuff that may not.
The select board has agreed to vote on each one of our revisions separately. So we don't have to throw, yeah, I know, you can.
open meeting laws prevent us from talking except in public. But on one-on-one, we have had some individual conversations.
What Carol's saying is, are we just shouting into the wind because none of this is ever gonna actually hit paper because the select board is not gonna approve it anyway, and why are we wasting our time?
And a small group of vocal people can, I mean.
We see that, trust me. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Carol. A small group of vocal people have derailed the work of the planning commission for the last 9 months.
And if you're working on getting that overlay district back in, because that's more important than the possibility of somebody doing a trail that might impact their downhill neighbor.
Right,
There's so much more important stuff you guys could all be looking at.
I agree.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's very frustrating. And you know,
So somebody, well, don't do it now, because you don't have 5 people, but.
no, we have 5 people.
No,
All 5
he's gone.
Who left?
Can we go back to our
Freddie
meeting, our
left?
internal
Yeah.
meeting?
Why'd she leave?
Because this is crazy.
Can we go
There's a
back
lot
to our
of people
meeting,
talking-
please?
There's a lot of people
On
talking over
page
each other and
131.
all that, it's.
Paul,
Yeah,
Paul,
I'm here, yeah.
can we go
Yes,
back to our meeting, please? Because that's the only time I get to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
On
please.
page 131, we have some definitions.
Mhm.
And it says the word should means an activity that is encouraged but not mandated.
Oh, look at that.
And that is pretty helpful, I think. This is encouraged. We're encouraging people to use these, to refer to these guidelines.
Great,
So-
but it
so
should
the
be,
word-
but it should be mandated. It should be mandated.
It says the word should means an activity that is encouraged but not mandated. And we've
Great.
heard a lot of people, well, it might be a very vocal minority, Paul, I don't know, but if the Facein Conservation Commission is okay with the word should,
Okay, the problem with this is that this is the 7th meeting we've talked about this stupid should shall thing, and there's been a lot of misunderstandings about what it applies to. I spent the first 10 minutes talking about this to make it clear that this is outdoor recreational facilities and not private landowners. And I feel like no one is even thinking about that, and you're all still, your hair is all up in a bunch because of what happened before, and we were wrong. Like 100% wrong. And this shall, so you guys are just putting a line in the sand with this should shall thing. That I don't know why you're choosing to die on this hill. Like I'm choosing to die on this hill with shall because I don't want to.
It doesn't affect private landowners, though.
Well, sort of, but the exemption is really what's gonna, I mean, we need to get to the exemption. That's where this conversation needs to happen. And we keep talking about should shall, and it's just wasting time.
Can I make a suggestion in the interest of time that we perhaps schedule another meeting before our September
Yeah.
8th meeting? Where maybe it flies under the radar, maybe it doesn't get put on Front Porch Forum. I mean, it has to be noticed somehow, but maybe it doesn't attract quite the attention and we can actually get something done. Because I'm pretty much at the end of my rope right now after 2.5 hours. And, you know, and well, I frankly would prefer to be there in person, but obviously I efforted to come back, but that, in the interest of domestic tranquility, I couldn't make it.
How can we do work? I don't understand.
We're gonna,
How can we, can I just ask, when can we do work? When can we discuss things
We
amongst
can do work
ourselves?
we can do work one-on-one. So we can go back and forth, we can email and call and text and do whatever with Lang, or you and me, or me and Andrew, or whatever, and then, present a conclusion one-on-one that we've reached to Lang or to Jason or whatever. We just can't meet as a group, without the public being notified.
We're gonna do a different room setup for when this happens again, and there will be a place where people come up and speak.
we tried that.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Have to come up to a spot and speak.
Yeah, there should be a lectern, yeah, there's got to be a pit or a lectern or a jury box or something like that.
Not to cut you off, Paul, but my proposal was that hopefully we could move past this, we could hash out the other stuff, and then I was gonna work with Jason to warn another meeting 7 days. I was gonna show up here to start the Zoom without Jason and have you guys get on the Zoom so we could vote on the revisions list, because I would revise the revisions list with the stuff we came up today and in hopes to send it to the select board. But you're
Okay.
saying you think we need to have a much larger conversation than that?
No, I don't. Honestly, I was just trying to move things along. I mean, I
mean-
know where I stand. I don't need to talk about this anymore.
What I wanna do tonight is I just wanna hash out this other stuff, get away from the should shall, work on the exemption, work on the definition. I'll put together a revised revisions list, we'll warn the meeting, I'll show up here by myself, start the Zoom, so we do the open meeting law. And we can have a meeting, we can vote on it, and then we can send it to select board, and then we can
Yeah.
have them have another public comment.
All right. I'll be there. I will be there. I'm coming back to Vermont on August 30th. So
But
I'll
can
be
we
able to,
just-
right now? Yeah, sure. What do you want to do right now?
I just want someone to make a real proposal on the trails definition. I like what Michael did, I really do, it's just a lot of words, that guy said to make it shorter, mine was too short. Can we find a happy medium?
Well, wait, one guy said to make it shorter.
I
Other
thought the
people
hap-
said- Other people said, hey, I like the definition, I like the detail.
I know. Other people who are not on the planning commission. So I thank you for rehashing that, Michael. But again, we were getting comments from the public to something that we hadn't had an opportunity to discuss as commission. So I think the compromise, I thought the good compromise was to perhaps Freddie's suggestion, put a link in to the US Forest Service Trail Fundamentals and Trail Management Objective that runs through the classes of trails and the matrix, but don't put that language doesn't have to go in our definition. If you look at definitions are not, don't have to be overly inclusive. In any statute, the definitions are usually very brief and you're supposed to interpret, when you interpret a statute, you're supposed to bring common sense into it and use common sense meanings. And so when I hear people talk about, well, if you're gonna, in that, like, what does construction mean? Well, you gotta just bring some common sense to the table. It's the common sense meaning of construction, and that might mean different things to different people. But you gotta just, it's gotta be clear, concise, and brief to work.
I thought we had that, and the comments we got, the public was not happy about it.
Comments we got from a handful of people.
I don't think people really made comments on our, I mean,
They
a few comments on our trail definition, but like,
they came with, we go back in the notes, they, what is your definition of a trail? What's your definition of a path? Is it a path down to to my pond or to my favorite little view?
Because they're just blowing smoke up your end
Yeah,
with distractions. It's the same thing that people do in national politics. You have something going and they did this one little snippet of something and it distracts you from the actual subject.
mhm.
But Paul, you do kind of have to be like the construction that does mean something in this situation. 'cause
I
it
know, I
is-
was just throwing, that was just, don't get hung up on that. I just was, that just flashed across my frontal lobe there. So fine,
Literally.
yes.
The construction could be as much as scraping a path with a flathead shovel. Is that
Yes,
construction?
I know, it's a slippery slope, but yeah,
What is construction?
bringing in heavy
So-
machinery.
So Michael's definition has some really good stuff. I think there's just minimal editing. I think we can find a happy medium.
Okay.
So can someone, I took out transportation. Carol said that the Mad River Pass would need transportation. She's no longer in the room.
No, I think the Mad River path has all of these in there.
But like, why did I remove transportation from my
We
amendment?
don't want mechanical, we don't want the, except for the sewer bids.
Okay, so. Michael's definition is basically my definition, and then we added 2 more sentences, right?
Yeah, I put the ATVs.
So the ATV thing is like. I get what someone said about you're endorsing ATV riding, but. I don't know if that holds a lot of water. Can someone help me with that?
Well, that's the most, if you look at here, is extremely destructive in ATV is. On trails, if you look at the wheeled vehicles, because they have,
Then where do you ride an ATV on your own property? On a what? What is it you're riding an ATV on your property?
A trail.
Lots of, like we drag something out of the woods or we use them all the time.
Well, that's for logging operations. You just said dragging things up like skid hunters. You ride them on. You ride them in the forest between
Beaten
trees.
paths.
I mean, I used to have one. What?
Beaten paths.
Beaten paths, but like, why, I mean, I don't see a reason to remove all terrain vehicles from trails definition.
I mean, if I have 30 acres.
Fine.
And I wanna build my 4-wheeling path to a reasonable standard. Damn you to tell me I can't ride that, but people can ride their bicycles and
Yeah.
e-bikes and motor scooters and whatever hell else they come up with these
Right,
days.
it's just, I'm just trying to use common sense, so I'm good on that. And then for the purpose of the face and town use regulations, the trail would be defined as a class 3, 4, 5 in the trail class matrix, that's a lot of words. To be used by more than the landowner and their immediate family. In the face of land use regulations, is recognized that a trail is different from a path is similar to a class 1 trail. Well, we have a definition of path in the LURs.
a cleared way for pedestrians and or bicycles that may or may not be improved.
So, I'm not beating you, and I'm not trying to beat you up, Michael, not even like a little bit.
No,
Yeah.
I'm enhancing what you're saying.
Yeah, so like, I think,
We're buds.
yeah, we're buds, I wanna work with you, like, that's my goal in life,
Mine too.
so. What can we chop out of Michael's to make it a little more succinct, because it seems a little wordy to me, and that we can put on the revisions list that is palatable.
So if you want to take out the, for the purpose of the face and town use, a trail would fit the definition of a trail class 3, 4, 5. Is used by more than a landowner and immediate family.
So if you
You
went
could
from
put,
other-
yeah, you could put in after his sentence, it is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed through highly developed. For reference purposes, see US Forest Service Trail Fundamentals and Trail Management. You could put in a link there if you wanted to, and then I think the rest of it can go.
But what about the part where he says is used by more than the landowner and their immediate family, is that important?
I don't think so. I think that's
Okay.
getting a little too detailed.
Okay, so your proposal is to do, it's recognized and highly developed, and then a link to the USF Trail Fundamental, no, where is it? The Trail Class Matrix.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a picture of it for Michael's gonna make the adjustments here, and then I'll relay them to you. Paul,
okay.
So you don't want the trail fits the definitions?
yeah, we wanna go from highly developed to then, for more, was it, what would you, I'm sorry, Paul, it was so good, you said after that reference?
Yeah, so minimally developed through highly developed period. You know, for more,
West Trail Fundamentals and Trail
yeah,
Management
I mean,
Objectives?
yeah, for more details or for, well, I don't know, you don't want to do that in a definition. Again, a definition is simple. You're not telling,
Yeah.
people turn to the definition to get the answer, and you don't want them to have to go down a rabbit hole, following links for more information. I just think it's, but if you're gonna put in the definition, minimally developed in capitals through highly developed in capitals, then obviously you're referring to something that has a definition elsewhere. I just think you could get away with stopping it at just right after compatible purposes. I just think you get down in the weeds when you get into it. It is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed through highly developed. It's too much.
Looking
You
for
look
the
fatigued,
matrix.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Uh,
input?
Is it trails referencing other sections, or is it the whole LUR,
Trails?
this definition?
This is the whole LUR.
So,
I mean, I think it ends at compatible purposes.
yeah,
The one we have in the revisions list say means, like, we have to change what we have in the revisions list because it's a typo.
Yeah. Just asked a really good question. Are we defining trail or are we defining a recreation trail?
A what?
A recreational trail.
Because there's transportation too.
That's.
Oy.
But a path can be for transportation also, to get from one part of the lot to the fishing hole. I mean,
Ride a bike on a path.
walking is a form of transportation.
That's correct.
we have ski trails, we have trails for access through the trails to the LURs,
That's it.
trails for access to power, existing power lines if required.
Do we need two?
Walking
definitions?
trails.
Legal trails.
So how about this, folks? I've changed some things. An improved traveled way established through construction for hiking, walking, bicycling, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, all-terrain vehicle riding, horseback riding, other similar activities. Trails may be used for recreation, transportation, other compatible purposes. It is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed through highly developed. A trail is developed with mechanical equipment, is generally developed with mechanical equipment. A path is only minimally or moderately developed.
Do we need to put paths in our
I
trails
think you have to differentiate that.
definition, because it's,
What was the last part of that sentence?
I'm saying it is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed to highly developed. A trail is generally developed with mechanical equipment, whereas a path is only minimally or moderately developed.
Don't capitalize minimally developed and highly developed again, because people will be wondering why that's capitalized, because when you do that, you're suggesting that that's being pulled from somewhere else. I'm okay with putting it in there, but don't don't flag it as something like, oh, they're cribbing this from somewhere else. Where are they getting this? Because when you capitalize something like that, you're suggesting that it's a legal term, or a term that's defined elsewhere. And then you're, get yourself in trouble.
Okay, well, Paul, it was defined in a USF for trail, fundamental trail
Right,
management.
I
We
know.
can just
That's completely out, yeah.
we'll take that out. Okay, so now here's what it reads. An improved traveled way established through construction for hiking, walking, bicycling, cross-country skiing, snowboarding, ATV, horseback riding, other similar activities. Trails may be used for recreation, transportation, and other compatible purposes. I don't know if we need that. It is recognized that there are a range of trails and paths from minimally developed through highly developed. A trail is generally developed with mechanical equipment, whereas a path is generally minimally or only moderately developed.
I can sign up for that.
You should also say an improved travel way established through construction for, comma, but not limited to, if you really want to get into the legalese here, construction for, comma, but not limited to walking, bicycling, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, all, because then you're covering, you're not, this is not an exhaustive list. You're not limited by, oh shit, we forgot to put in whatever. You have other compatible purposes, kind of the same thing. But if you really want
And other
to,
similar,
if you really want to
Exactly.
cover your ass, the way that statutes are usually written is, for but not limited to the
Well,
following.
it says in other similar activities. At the end of the
Yeah, or
first
other
sentence.
you have other compatible purposes. So either way, just you want to make sure that you're not limiting yourself to the following list. The following list is not exhaustive of what this definition covers. There might be other compatible uses, or other compatible purposes that we failed to mention here.
similar activities, we could change it to establish the construction for, but not limited to,
Yes,
before hiking, and get rid of and other similar activities.
correct.
So it's either other similar activities or for, but not limited to, which goes in front of hiking.
Do the not for but not limited to. That's the legalese that, if somebody was looking at this, if a environmental court were looking at this, and we are writing a land use regulation, air quotes, which I hate, that's the legalese that's proper statutory construction.
Okay,
No pun
I mean,
intended to my other comment about construction.
well, I was just asking what you prefer, Jason.
It's mean the same exact thing, so
All right, I think we do for, but not limited to, and we get rid of similar activities.
it looks better, sounds better.
It does sound better. It sounds way better. Thank you for that, I'm Paul. And then I think, as much as I hate it, I think having path in the definition of trails kind of helps to delineate for the public.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
so I will work with Michael to get, I think Michael and I both understand that. He's typing something right now. So I think I can get that into the revised revisions lists.
And get it to Freddie so that she can
It's
print it,
Freddie.
highlight it.
I just, well, because we're having such a great meeting, no one has any problems on is anyone looking at the revisions list?
No,
All right, so just real fast, because we only have one more thing to talk about after this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are all easy. 6, we have to vet out. 7, we just did. We're gonna talk about 8, which is the exemption. Number 9 is fine. Number 10 is great. Number 11, Carol had some concerns about. Do we need to make a change on the contiguous land and lot definition?
she seemed to think so.
No.
She had problems with,
That came from
know,
attorneys, so.
I didn't truly understand the revision before, it was before my time, and then I know there's a guy down the street who owns two pieces of property separated by a river and a road. And I
River
thought,
doesn't count.
I thought that this
And-
change helped people.
Somewhere in statute, it does state that a right of way is considered an actual subdivision. This went through lawyers.
So we're happy with it, we don't,
Carol,
I just don't wanna make
I
mistakes.
also didn't know what the definition of an ADU was, so whatever.
And
It's
12
good,
is-
it's fine, it's fine.
Alright, so can we just? What?
Getting cranky.
You are?
Absolutely.
I know, but I'm trying to move in a positive
Yeah,
direction.
no, good. No, I think item 11 is fine, and I think Carol is wrong.
Okay, let's just talk about item 8. I get some notes on that, and then. There's two nice people in the public who might have something to say, and then we'll be able to adjourn, but can we just talk about our exemption, please?
Sure. Can we clarify one thing on 11?
Sure.
I think Carol's point was you're making somebody's lot smaller by forcing it to be a subdivision. So then they maybe can't do certain things because it doesn't meet a minimum lot size.
It's in statute.
Okay, that's it's statute.
It's actually a situation that occurs right up here on North Facein and Boyce or Dunbar. It's where the house burned down a few years ago. And now he replaced it with a double wide. It's a VN, one of the VN's properties. And
Right.
then right across Dunbar Hill, he has another piece. It's the same parcel. But even our lister map shows it as sub parcels. So for zoning purposes, I treat it as. And it doesn't really make the lot smaller because there would be corner lot applications, that only have to do the 65 foot from one setback. Yeah, it's 25 from the other, but yeah, no, it's.
If it's state statute, that's.
It's in
all I need to know.
statute.
Great. Sorry.
Okay,
But
on to 8, and Lang, you and I
That's to the top.
discussed, oopsie,
Property.
okay.
You can move on.
I'm sorry, what was that, Paul?
I think Beans is trying to sell a bunch of those lots. Anyway, on 8, I like the way you tweaked it, changing building and maintenance to building and rebuilding, and I think that that's fine. I support that change.
Where did everybody go? So. You don't need a permit. For the building and rebuilding of trails, use the standards and practices found at the Vermont Agency of Natural Resources, the following website, which is where. That acronym conservation, they're gonna publish their trail standards, it already references that A&R website. This is the most important change that really affects people, and we're all so spent and tired that we'll agree to anything, like. This is the one I care about, as long, like, for the building and rebuilding, that's not maintenance, rebuilding, I mean, I think that was. Someone made that, they didn't like the word maintenance, they liked rebuilding, or someone suggested that at the
But
last
that's why we
meeting.
put in new trails or existing trails that are substantially improved with the relocates. That's why we put them that way. We said existing trails are grandfathered, provided they are simply maintained in their approximate original location and condition.
Yeah, so for the exemption, like. Someone say something about something. Is
So
building,
as long as the correct guidelines are met.
yeah, you don't
What
need,
happens if you don't build them to what happens if you don't build them to those recommended standards?
You get away with that. And nothing happens, fine, but if you start getting a lot of erosion. Or you gotta rebuild the trail. You're gonna spend money rebuilding the trail, it's gonna wash out. Or it's gonna damage your downstream neighbors.
this is when Freddie says you go knock on somebody's door. And then that other gentleman said you sue them for $4 million, like,
For example, we have exemptions in the regulations for accessory dwelling. You are allowed up to 2 accessory dwelling units, less than 80 square
accessory
feet.
structures,
Thank you.
it's okay.
Accessory structures. But As long as it goes smaller than 80 square, but you still have to meet all the rules. So if they don't meet these standards, that's.
You're asking a question that you're gonna have to answer for me. I mean, it's, what do they do, what if? Well, how would, I mean,
Because Freddie always keeps talking about the and or thing, and I'm making sure that. I'm listening to her.
Okay.
'Cause I don't remember what we did with the first two things. Cause they actually. We talked about this ties in with the other,
was what?
This exemption ties in with it.
the tables. Because of the standards,
The E3 stuff?
yeah,
This does?
yeah,
The permit, the not needing a permit.
exemption, yeah. Cause of the standards,
I just
there's
typed
a
right,
relation between the two.
Yeah,
and then who do I send this to?
me, sends me,
Just you?
just. I will work with you hand in hand, we will get it hashed out. Cause you have an understanding and I have an understanding.
I mean, to me, this is, we're gonna have the same problem of, are these enforceable or not?
Where are we at? What are we-
Revision 8.
Revision 8.
The
The exemption.
exemption. So what, I'm sorry, you were referencing something in LUR.
So like, yeah, if you build an accessory structure like a shed that's
Yeah.
smaller than 80 square feet, you're exempt from permitting, but you still. Have to follow all the other rules, you still have to meet your setbacks and develop down slopes and. All that good stuff. Well, now you're still, I mean, the one rule that we seem to have with trails are these standards. There's a hand in hand thing going on here with what's in the trails. And but it's, is it should or is it shall? Right, so if it's not shall, you shall. If you don't do shall, then the exemption doesn't really follow, right?
So here's the exemptions that are currently existing. How can I make that bigger? There we go. The maintenance of existing structures, minor grading with your driveway, agricultural, forestry operations, temporary signs, home occupations.
That's flood hazard stuff.
What?
That's just.
Did I go too far?
Well,
These are your exemptions. Where's, I know your 80 square foot thing, but I don't see that as an exemption. You're allowed to, but that's not an exemption.
what is it?
I don't know, but I know it exists. I've read it. You can't, it's my screen. Where would you like to go? Just tell me where to go, Jason.
Down, go down.
There it is, no. Keep going.
No, it just goes into flood. Oh, there it is. What is that?
All that's saying is you can do these, except, these are exemptions,
Except in the flood hazard
the
district,
flood hazard-
up to 2 accessories, does not exceed 80 square feet. Meet all setback distances. So, do we wanna put our trails in all places except the flood hazard district?
Nah, trails are fine in flood hazard district.
You can't have,
They
a-
talked about that, we just read something. We're talking about that.
is it a conditional, but outdoor recreational facilities are conditional use in the
That's
flood
what
hazard.
in the flood hazard, it says it's just trails though.
Okay, so,
I was on that page.
so you're saying, the point of what you're saying is that we need to have more words than what we have now?
No, what I'm saying is. We have an exemption built into building these trails,
What?
right? As long as they build to these recommended standards.
Mhm.
Right?
Where's the
Well, what happens
enforcement?
if they don't build to these standards? Do they have to get a permit?
No. Okay, so, alright, so how do we put something in the exemptions that makes it so someone doesn't have to come pull a permit to build trails on their property? Give me a path to that.
Well, you can just leave it out completely. Discussion of trails.
What?
I mean, if you're gonna have an exemption, you gotta have an exemption from something,
From getting a permit,
right? And then-
because trails by definition are. I said it earlier and I completely forgot, it's construction or like grading and
Grading or excavation.
it's development. And you need a permit to do
Under the
development on the
definition of
property.
land development. trails could very much be there. But, and if it was a single family, it would be an accessory use, and with it was accessory use, blah, 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 blah. That's what it was kind of coming, I was alluding to, like. The things in this book. Are for regulations, they have regulatory purpose. If there's no regulatory purpose, there's no need for it to be in the book, other than maybe. If you wanna do an exemption, we just gotta clarify it a little better, but when.
But I think, Jason.
If we're not building to a standard, then what's the point of it being in the book of standards?
Well, now
I'm going back to the table stuff, I mean, it is related, because you are really.
Are you
you
saying
are-
if the should shall? Are you going
Yeah.
to should shall?
Yeah, well,
You're going to should shall now.
I'm back, because these two things are related.
Okay, fine.
You're taking a book of regulations and making them, well, maybe.
Okay, it doesn't make any sense to go to back to the, if it should. We're exempting around a should.
Yeah, we don't need an exemption for should.
Right.
But that only applies to outdoor recreational facilities.
Alright, so now the exemption
Applies to everyone,
applies to everyone,
everyone.
as long as they build to the standard.
As long as they don't
So you might
understand,
as well just be shall.
I'm on your team.
Yes, exactly.
I said this 6 times. The exemption is where this energy needs to be placed. This is where we should be hashing out this should shall argument in the exemption. It should be shall in outdoor recreation.
They're tied hand to hand.
They're tied hand to
These
hand.
2 points are.
They're totally tied to hand to hand. But this actually affects everyone.
I mean, they're gonna feel the same way. We know how they're gonna feel.
I don't definitely wanna see an exemption for this, I just wanted to.
You
be-
want an exemption, right? Please talk.
Okay, I'm with Landon.
Yes.
I appreciate the public process because it clarified that. That my land was exempt, and
Yes.
that was creating a lot of the heat.
Yes.
Now I would live with shall, as long as. These suggestions that you've made are included, including an exemption that I don't need to get a permit but with should language for the exemption. So I don't need a permit to build a trail on my private land, but I should build it to the recommended standards. And you're trusting me to do that. So I don't need to get a
So
permit.
somebody that just hasn't built their house yet and they just want to have a trail. Definitely have to build to a standard, but because you have a house on your thing, you don't necessarily
Well,
have to.
Question of. That's the other thing that you recognize you need to hash out, like what happens when somebody's got a private land and they don't have a house on it.
That's an outdoor recreational facility.
And there are no existing trails. So right now, I think that's something that can be hashed out, it's on your list of things to hash out. So yes, I think there should be, if it's possible to come up with some language to take. To take care of that case, if you don't have it, if it's not actually an accessory. But, that's a very, that. And if they have to live to the rules, that's. The rules.
I mean, the rules aren't that difficult. Right?
Yeah, it's, again, it's a matter of private landowners don't want to
Be told what to do.
be told what to do.
Yeah.
Existing land, and if they have existing trails, especially.
I mean,
But if that existing, like.
Yeah, they're already built.
You do the shall. Private landowners are exempt.
yep.
And then you also make your exemption for existing trails. I think you've got a workable solution. A lot of the heat was because of the confusion before about shall applying to private landowners. And then should language for, I think it is important to have that language in there of should for the exemption because it's educational.
But understand, it doesn't say should or shall in the exemption. It says the building and rebuilding of trails using standards and practices found at the Vermont Institute of Natural Resources filing website. And at the top of that section where we plan to put this, it says The following uses and structures are exempt from these regulations. No permit approval shall be required for. So if you put that in front of the words I just said. The building and rebuilding of trails using standards and practices. So like. Wendy and Ben just had their entire property logged. Skidders went through and destroyed their trails. They need to rebuild their trails. When they rebuild their trails. They will have to build to the standards and practices found. At the Vermont Department of Agency of Natural
But they don't have to
Resources.
come get a permit.
No,
No
Yeah.
permit.
no permit.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's the way it's always been. We didn't change anything tonight. It's the way it's always been. There's just been this cloud, this misinformation campaign put out there that we're trying to do something that we're not trying to do.
That's what the impetus for this has been, what's
So it all started with
motivation?
Michael, Mr.
It all
Knoll.
started, I wanted to build a bike trail on my property. And I went to look at the land use regulations. And it said, I've got to follow this standard. The link was broken and no one knew where the link was. No one knew where the document was. So I went and made some phone calls, nobody could find it, it's some New York State place. So then started questioning, like, why are only bicycle trails called out in here? I mean, there's other types of behavior, hiking and vast trails, etc., that are also using trails. Why are only bike trails called out? And so we tried to fix it. By basically going to a more general link, which is the ANR. And it turns out the vast people are following the standards, the bike people are following the standards, a bunch of people. And that's why I'm okay with making it as an education, like it fixes the link and doesn't call out bikes as the only people who are destroying the land.
So there's been a problem, there's,
No,
there hasn't.
No.
there's no,
Never
There's
been a problem.
with the book.
no one's ever come in for a permit.
The
We
link.
spent 7 months
on
on
the screen.
It's the
The
link on the
link.
screen. If I click on it, it goes to the,
Yeah.
like, if you click on this link right here,
Threatened, but I'm glad, it sounds like things have been resolved and clarified tonight.
it
I
goes,
commend you for it, thank you. for it.
it's okay. But this is the document that you shall use. If, in the LURs right now, right, this is the shall for an outdoor recreational facility.
And it's from New York State.
New York State, we're Vermonters.
Okay.
In theory, so,
New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
And your example of Wendy and Ben, they are going to be seeking to reestablish their trail, existing trail.
Actually, to be crystal clear, a forest management plan that allows forestry, there's things called the acceptable management practices, AMPs. And anyone who logs needs to follow those standards. And those standards are crystal clear about roads, trails, skidways, slash, all that kind of stuff. And if the trails have been destroyed, I'm questioning how that happened, because to me, if you follow the acceptable management practices, the slash should have been removed, trails should have been maintained, the skid trails should have been eliminated because you don't need them. And like, I've got a forest management plan and I've had the foresters come out and they've said, hey, look, the skid trail is not right. It needs to be taken away. It's causing erosion. You got to fix this, you got to fix that. Well, the guys logged it in 1970s. Okay, I inherited the mess. Okay, but if someone just had it logged, the forester that logged it should have followed the loggers should have followed the acceptable management practices. So.
They're
we need
right
to-
above me, by the way.
Pardon?
Right above me, by the way.
So, yeah,
And
if
so
you got a lot of runoff,
I'm glad to be learning all of these things.
oh,
What about-
someone logged above you and now water's coming
Ben and
in.
Wendy did. I don't know, I didn't know I just bought it, I just moved in February, so I'm kind of like, what's going on?
Oh, where?
here?
Okay.
And
We-
where's the water going? And-
So there's acceptable management practices, you can look it up on the forestry website.
So the question is, what happens if you do have, like, we've had this situation before, where we know what is supposed to have happened, and then it doesn't happen, and the landowner needs to fix it.
So you're supposed to call the state forester and they're supposed to come out, and I've done this before, well, I haven't done it personally, but.
I've done it before.
Yeah,
So there was a logging operation on Airport Road, Bob Granfield, and John Rolls was having some serious issues. And I listened to, it was Ray Shank and all of them, they were all up in arms, helping everyone's up in arms about Bob Granfield and his logging. Called me and I said, all right, kind of looks. I called James Wilcox, the head of the forestry operation, come out and look at this situation. He came out, he looked at it, he said, no, it's closed out properly. Jeff Halpin bought the lot a year later from Bob Granfield, because Granfield got denied for all his stuff. He removed a couple of things with his, some sash, whatever they call it, just a little debris, branches and stuff. He removed a little bit, cleared out a water drainage channel thing. John Rolls' flooding issue is gone. Even though the state forester, or is that state forester, whatever, head of that division, came out and said, no, everything is fine. So.
Water runs downhill.
It really does.
I would take his advice, I'll go out there, I'll look at it if you'd like.
I don't.
Because it is in the land use
That's
regulations,
not why I'm here.
but I would do the same thing, I would call the guy from the state who's supposed to be the expert on this thing. But you should definitely do that, especially because.
Alright, Link, we're way off.
Alright.
Let's wrap it up.
I know, hey, guys, I need to, I apologize, but I'm I'm not gonna ghost like Freddie, but I need to be wrapping this up.
Not voting on
Me too.
anything.
Yeah, let's wrap
It's-
it up.
That's
Jumping
fine.
ahead, I did not attend the last MRVPD meeting, so I don't have an update. So with due respect for everyone involved, I'm gonna suffer great consequences from my wife if I don't say goodnight.
Good night, Paul.
Alright, good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So I'll do the update on the Mad River Path. The town of Warren, as we know, has supported a match for phase one from Ellen Lane to Riverside Park. And now we're going and applying for the grant to the V-Trans Bike and Pedestrian Program for 1.2 million. And the grant decisions will be made shortly. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that. Number two, this V-Trans is just about finished with reviewing our scoping report. They should have been done last week on August 8th. And we're gonna meet on tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th, to review their comments. So that's what we're working on. And we're also still trying to work with the Waitsfield wastewater team on the path relocation. And we need to get a better idea of the costs and nuances. So we've hired Dubois and King to do a co-location construction budget. So giving them some money and they're working on this redesign budget. And we're working on looking for some other grants. So to help build the trail. That's where we are right now, and there will be a public meeting in September to review the V-Trans. The report that we had, the plan that we had, that's been reviewed by V-Trans. That's be a public meeting, September. We'll be ready for it.
Okay.
That's it.
Andrew?
Last meeting, Central Vermont went over the Montpelier town plan or city plan. And then also an emergency heat plan. And had some recommendations for towns' heat management. For part of an emergency management program plan. It's the presentation you can look at on the link.
Heat,
Yeah,
as in like like for like,
Like when it's 95 out.
you know, is it like
Oh.
climate heat or is it like just?
Cooling shelters?
Yeah, yeah.
Cooling, like anything related to the town, it's both, it's cooling shelters, it's overall heating trends and how to manage emergencies related to them. But a lot of it's cooling shelters,
Mhm.
but there's a slide show on the agenda, it's linked.
Hot and cold weather emergency planning presentation,
Mhm.
and then you have a special meeting on the 21st.
That's for the Montpelier city plan,
Huh. I'm paying attention, I swear, I really am.
that's it, nothing too
Hot
relevant
weather
for Facebook.
preparedness, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so. Other business, anybody got any other business?
I think we should look at our work process. Today was frustrating.
Yeah,
It was very frustrating. We didn't have it. I'm frustrated that we can't work together. We gotta figure out a better way of working together.
Well, we have to manage the meetings where it's public comment, our time, they can still listen, anybody can be here,
Yeah,
but we need to just. We can't be doing the
No.
20-person committee,
no.
we take their public comment when it's that time.
And we've done that. We did that in July.
Yeah.
And we never had a chance to review their thing. So what we should have done, I think, in retrospect, is say, look. You're here, but we got work to do. Let's do our work. And then we can open it up after that. But I think.
Yeah,
We
but we
just
have
have
to
the
do
same
it with,
stuff.
they can be here.
Yeah.
guys, I wanna make it clear, like, in the beginning of the meeting, the four of us tried to figure out how the hell we were gonna handle this meeting.
Yeah.
And like, we all have to take this, like I tried.
Well, at the end of the day, the chair has to run the meeting.
I try, but I,
And then you gotta just tell them, we're talking one at a time, or whatever it is, or they're talking later, it's just,
and I'll take that, I
I think
will,
that's the only way we're gonna get stuff done.
what?
That's the only way we're gonna get stuff done.
Yeah, I think so.
I
And we have to be clear about it.
wasn't expecting 20 people, I mean.
It's fine, I'm just saying what we gotta do to get stuff done going forward.
Yeah, I think it's a learning, it's a lesson, and
Did
next.
you all expect like? Did you all expect like this meeting to be? The select board and the planning commission talking about this subject?
I did.
You did? What did you guys expect? Like what brought you here?
Important issue.
I didn't know it was like Lisa Loomis's article, wait, Lisa wrote her article.
We're
It
still in a
made
meeting
it sound
being
like,
recorded.
it's okay, it made it sound like it was gonna be. The select board was gonna be in on this discussion also, what I read in the article.
I would have liked that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we adjourn.
Yeah.
Vote to adjourn.
Yeah, 8:54.
I just, I work with Jason. Do you think it makes sense for me to put a revisions list together and then everyone can zoom in and I'll be here at the meeting? Does that make sense to you?
I don't know, I don't understand what you're trying to do. In your head, why would we not have a regular meeting to work it?
So you wanna like, do we wanna wait till September and do this exact same thing we just did now? But devote it to send it to, cause we have,
I can do another meeting before September.
I'd like to do another meeting before December,
But
either
we have
in
to do it.
person.
We'll have to figure it out, the select board, FCC, everyone's tying things up right now, so.
But like, if we don't, can
We'll have to
I,
have Zoom.
no, but do you have to be, can I come here and start the Zoom?
No, yeah, no, as long as it's somebody,
I
staff or board member. No, I'm just saying we have to have Zoom, the select board,
No, I'll,
FCC, everyone's got.
So we have to warn it and do all the normal. stuff.
Yeah, we've got at least walk for 1 week, so I mean. We just gotta look at next week to see what availability is, that's all.
Do we have to have public comments if we're just trying to work?
yes,
Okay, then I think we need to do then is put the agenda, and just say, we're gonna work this. It's a working session. And then when we get done with the work, there'll be public comments afterwards.
We do the public comments as we did today, cause you have to have that, but it will be for anything other than the items we're not talking about. And then as we put the other agenda item, we put, review or discussion of blah, blah, blah.
Good
All comments to follow.
and I will revise the revisions list for that meeting with Michael, and Doug reached out to you, so that hopefully we can't do what we did tonight again.
I agree, yeah.
No.
And then. We have a place set up where they have to come and speak there. And it prevents this, like you see city council meetings, they come up to a place, we don't have a lectern, so we're gonna have to improvise.
The chair.
The chair, the red chair, you know, and that's where you come and speak, and you speak to the commission.
Yeah.
On top of what we do agenda wise to prevent this.
I mean, I like comments from the public in the right time. I need them to guide us, what people are thinking. But I feel totally unprepared today because we didn't have a chance to even work it.
Does everyone feel like they've talked enough in the open
I
meeting
have.
forum and we can adjourn the meeting?
Yes,
I move to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
adjourned.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right,
The meeting is adjourned.
good night. I'm going to get a beer.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Woody.
He went on.
There you go. Thanks, Pam. Woody, you still there?
Thanks for coming.
I'm glad you worked this out.
If you want, if those questions, give me a call tomorrow, I'll be glad to answer those questions that you asked.
But we're not very good.
Great.
I think a couple of suggestions. One is